Okay, everybody, welcome to the show. We got Tim Harris here. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, that is how you say it.
Okay.
Unless Timothy would be the other.
Timothy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Timothy. That's what my
On one of your cards.
my card says.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a name for myself as Timothy Harris.
That's a good name, dude. So, well, I appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah,
and
thanks for having me.
so, how's everything been lately?
Man, everything has been great. Just been heavily doing my Muay Thai thing. That's obviously
You have?
how we met.
Right.
Just continually training, trying to get fit again. Since the last fight I had in March, looking to fight again whenever, probably next year.
Hell yeah. I was at that fight.
That's true. You were there.
Yeah.
It was nice to see, and I promise you, it'll be a completely different animal when you see.
How did you think that fight went for you?
For my first fight.
That was your first fight,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that was my first fight. I liked it a lot. Whenever I watch the videos, I like it a little less and less, but I think it just means it's because I'm learning more now and now. I think for my first fight and it being the first fight, I think it did really great.
Right, but you're like critiquing every little thing, I suppose. Yeah.
I'm critiquing everything. I'm looking at it, and when I was in the ring, like you see like how fast I'm moving, my hair's flying around and everything, but like in that moment I didn't feel like I was moving that fast because
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone was saying
Was your hair longer then?
I don't think it's longer.
No,
I think right now it's probably about the same length, if not a little longer now, just a little.
But I do remember that, when you were in there fucking kicking and shit, dude.
Yeah, my dad likes to call me the wild lion now, or like lion style because of that.
Oh yeah, dude. But, you gotta have a mane.
Oh yeah, maybe that should be my calling card, like my little.
You could become like the lion. Everybody's got a name, like, yeah. What are they? So next on Sunday when I interview your master, Sauhan, they call him what, the Thailand's knockout king or something like that. I think, I don't know. I was looking at his social media. You know, on social media you got to put something cool. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I didn't know that. I actually started I went on YouTube like one night right before I went to bed and like saw like one of his old fights, and
dude, he's legit.
Yeah, he gets in swing. Like it's weird for me to think that I'm training with someone who does for real Muay Thai, because the way that I see him on a daily basis is just like a coach. But like,
I just saw him like honestly when you guys brought him to the bar that one time. Oh, and he was you might not have been there. He was a super fun guy. He was like reading our palms and shit. Like, you have a long life and all this.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Like, he had Bridget was there, and she was just like totally beat red, just laughing.
She was eating that up, probably.
Yeah, she loved
Bridget.
it. So, but so you see him in that setting, and then we're preparing for this podcast on Sunday, and it's like Deborah sent me all of his like credentials and stuff, and like it's like 88 fights, like 70 some wins, like 40 some knockouts over the years in Muay Thai and boxing, and he's like, holy shit, like this guy's legit.
Yeah, it's amazing to have like a record even that long. Granted, he's probably in his 40s now or late 50s, but to think that like nowadays when people like fight, they have X amount of time that they use before like their next fight to get heal, train, get better and whatnot. But over in Thailand, they're fighting like they get like 1 week, I think.
Really, they're just like fight after fight after fight, and they grow up in it, and that's
basically, and that's how you get those like huge numbers of like fights or matches that they've participated in, and and I almost feel like too they do it in such a way that they can kind of promote that longevity in the sport. So like when I spar, for an example, if you like play fighting, like you're going balls to the wall, but at the same time I think like you still want to leave the ring at the end of the day, and I feel like they might be more cognizant of that.
You think they are over there?
I think so.
So their fights might be a fight, but it's maybe a little more respectful, or like
maybe so, and it also could just be because that's their tradition too, and like they really train probably way more vigorously than like we do here in the U.S.
Yeah, their body's probably
like,
used
conditioned
to it.
So for us, like it looks like balls to the wall, and for them they're just like, what? This is just
that's a normal
this is
week.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Really?
So I mean,
Yeah,
I'd have to
okay.
imagine. So I mean,
I think you're right, man.
because
Yeah.
I don't think at least after my first fight, granted I've only had the one. If I was only given a week and then they say you got to go do it again, I'm like, what?
Yeah, because I think of that too when I was like wrestling and stuff. It was like, maybe once a month. It wasn't like, we had a couple times where we went out on these like special where he had booked. And now I think in the last few years, and I'm not in there, but those guys in IPW with Troy, they've had a couple sets of shows that have just been weekend, where they're hitting it.
Mm-hmm.
I never did much of that. It was always like maybe once or twice a month when I wrestled. So it wasn't like, but we did have a couple times where we went out and we did like maybe like a bunch of shows right in a row. That's the closest, if you were really wrestling like for WWE, it'd be like, every week. So it's like, but yeah, so if they're fighting over there, which is Thailand for people listening, because that's where he's from, yeah, they're probably having a fight a week.
That's true. I mean, and you got to think they're conditioned for that, and that's a way of life over there too.
That's what I'm interested to ask him is like, so it's like you literally probably get up and you just train, like your whole day revolves around. You're not like going to work to a job or anything, probably.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's how they were putting food on the table. Even those kids and stuff are earning their way of living. From those bouts.
God, that's insane.
It's a really cool thing.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one, man. So, anyway, back to you. Not to get all, we'll talk about him on Sunday.
Yeah.
But, so when is your next fight?
That's a good question. Right now, I don't have anything scheduled. Just because I know, so I travel a lot, and then with work and stuff like that, I've just been mainly trying to focus on consistently trying to be at a certain level of fitness. So
so that you're kind of ready. You're right. Anytime a fight would be coming, you're not that far out.
Exactly, and almost kind of like, I guess, if that conditioning myself the way that they would be in Thailand. I just want to be conditioned and fit like for whenever that time presents itself. And
you almost want to like kind of live that life, huh?
Almost, just a little bit.
Like, yeah, that's important to you. I imagine.
Think so. Just staying fit and healthy, I think, is important to me because I've grown up kind of being that way and always being like engaged in a sport. So like the moment I got out on my own, it was like one of the first times that like
you wanted to maintain that,
right? Like maintaining that, and it's now. Diet's important too, but also making sure you have the right level of fitness.
Yeah.
Now I'm coming on 25.
Okay, I was going to ask you what your age was, yeah.
Yeah, so I've got the metabolism still working for me just a little bit, but, like, I notice here and there that, I can't really just, like, eat 10 cookies like I used to.
Yeah, dude, you'll notice that for sure. Like, you're right at that age right now, and then... Like, by your 30s, you'll have that shit, like, figured out.
Exactly.
Like, just dialed in,
So, it's like I'm going a little bit through a period of that, just trying to understand, like, how I can make this, like, my lifestyle of being healthy and being in that weight group. So then I just feel good all the time.
Yes.
I'm not just, like, trying to cut for a fight specifically. I mean, granted, you have certain goals that people want to do in different
you want to do that thing, like, stay ready, be ready type of thing. Right. So, it's like anytime an opportunity comes... You're only like 4 or 5 weeks away from where you need to be.
Right, if that. And
that, even a couple weeks, like you could get ready. Yeah,
my goal would be to just focus on, if anything, like, technique and, different tools that I can add to the arsenal.
So, focus on learning, like, new techniques, new tools, but then, like, your fitness level, you're always just a few weeks away if something came up.
Right, that would be the goal. So, with that being said, as far as next fight, I think realistically, probably looking at next year, especially since I know Thanksgiving's coming up, and I've got to eat for that. Like, I mean, there's no way I can't. And then, Christmas too, and so that's another time. So probably like after, that.
I think that's like, I'm gonna like kind of go on a little bulk, and then Christmas I'll start cutting again probably. So
it is bulking season,
right? Because I was just cut, got pretty lean, and then it was like. Slow. I'm not really on a bulk yet, but I'm like on the first week of kind of like first couple weeks of backing off from the extreme cut where I was. So so like I think that's gonna be around Christmas too. So I'll probably get to eat for Christmas.
There you go. I mean, you have to make it. I almost, if anything, I was planning because I'm kind of doing the opposite. Well, I know it's not quite bulking season, but kind of can be depending.
It's getting close, right? Like winter time.
Yeah.
That's like
I'm doing the opposite. I'm trying to actually like cut and whatnot. I mean, I've amassed quite a bit just in eating, so I'm like, all right, cool, I can do that. But now it's like, you know, it's closing in that gap. But I was like, there's no way at this time of the year with like this much eating. Like, I love to eat.
It's coming up. Me too, dude. I love eating.
So the way I was looking at it was like, I need to cut so then I can eat.
Right. Actually, that's kind of where I am too, because like my coach is like gonna put me on this bulk, and like now I'm just kind of like maintaining, but I'm not really like I was cutting. But I'm kind of like, I actually feel like I need to go hardcore for a couple weeks and like try to like lean up again, so that when I start the bulk, it's from a really good place.
Right.
Because I kind of took it a little too easy the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like I need to tighten it up, get my mindset and that good mentality going into the bulk, and then keep that like really clean.
Yeah.
So like any of these little bad habits, like I don't have too many bad habits, but every once in a while it's like I'll just eat something I shouldn't, you know.
Yeah. I understand. Like just the other day. So like typically I eat pretty well. Like I always have like a veggie. Like I'll do quinoa and brown rice, like mixtures and stuff.
And you
like
probably
that.
have to fuel your training.
Right, to fuel my training, and honestly, that's just kind of how I grew up, like eating. So like the thing that I'm fortunate for is that like my mom, for an example, or my parents, they like had me eating healthy. So for me, like I start itching if I don't eat a vegetable.
And they like led by example, right?
Right. It's like because it became a lifestyle, so I want to maintain that. But like I always had like a sugar tooth. So like the other day I was in the store and I saw these like Oreo patty things or whatever, and I shit you not, I ate
a sleeve.
Yeah, I ate more than a sleeve. Like there were like 2 patties in each of these. I was like, how is anyone supposed to be satisfied after this? I damn near ate the whole like
It's
box.
like you almost can't have it around. It's like if you have it around, you'll just like your body craves that sugar and then you eat too many.
Exactly. At least until like I OD on sugar, and then I'm like, all right.
Oh, then you're done.
I'm good until like next week maybe, but it's like, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
It's weird how it does that. Yeah, it'll get you. When you're like bodybuilding, you have to really be careful with that shit because it'll just fucking get you. They had like those you know, this is like pumpkin spice season.
Oh yeah, it's pumpkin spice.
And so like if you're like me, like I'm just like a total white girl. I love that shit.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah, pumpkin spice coffee, pumpkin spice like anything, dude. I think it's fucking delicious.
I never got into the pumpkin
spice. Most people don't. I'm weird. I like that shit. So they had pumpkin spice Oreos, dude. So like the middle was like pumpkin spice, and I had some at work, and I shouldn't have. I was so hardcore for so long, and then I just I've been eating stuff I shouldn't.
So for you, like, what's the detriment of just having like, say, like 3 cookies?
Nothing really.
Nothing.
It's just like, it's a mental thing for me. Like when I'm on my meal plan, because when I'm on my meal plan, I like stick to it to a T pretty much.
Yeah.
And so it's just a mental thing because I feel like it's like one thing leads to another, and then it becomes a habit, kind of.
That's true.
So it's like how you do one thing is how you do everything, kind of.
Oh, absolutely.
That you know, so it's like if I get up one day and I don't make my bed, and then I don't do it the next day, then it becomes a habit. Like right now, I've been making it every day. I got this good morning routine where I started using this app called Sleep Cycle.
Oh, I think I've. Wait,
and I don't
track your REM sleeping with like snoring and stuff.
It supposedly does. I had my buddy Matt on here, and he's like, "Are you sure? That sounds like it might be some bullshit." Because like, how does it really know if you're sleeping? I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, it definitely records your snores.
Yeah.
And then it seems to like peak up like when I'm up to go pee or whatever at night. It seems like it knew I was up there.
Yeah.
And then like I fell back asleep, and when you're snoring, it has you like in REM sleep. But I mean, I just like it, and it's helped me been getting up super early, so I'm like getting up at the same time, and then I've started this routine like get up, go shower, and I'm like trying to practice some like posing, you know, because like for a bodybuilding show, and then so I do that. I've been doing like shower in the morning, and then I like crank it to cold.
Oh, gross.
And I'll like put it on my back, and I'll just sit there and I'll breathe, and I'll try not to be like a pussy about it. I'll be like, because at first you're like, and then you're like, I'll just be like really getting this like Zen state where I'm just like,
and then it's like fine.
And it's fine. You like control the cold, and then I'll turn to the front on my chest, and I'll just, and I've been trying to get like more and more of that, and then I eventually want to try to get one of them ice baths, dude.
Oh, ice bath. I love those.
Isn't that
I love
sick?
an ice bath. Like, I used to do that, like, back when I was, like, a kid, like, again, in soccer. But, like, you come home, you're, like, already heated up, and it's, like, the one thing you want. Now
you actually wanted to get an ice bath.
Yeah, now I'm just, like, I gotta force myself to do something like that.
Right, I remember, like, we had when we used to, at our old house, it was like we had one bathroom and then there was like a shower in the basement, and the basement was just like a cement basement. It was not nice. It wasn't finished or anything. Had just this like cemented out shower, but it was like, it didn't have warm water.
Yeah.
But I remember like, so like my sister or mom would be using the upstairs bathroom, and sometimes I would just like, fuck it, I'll just use the downstairs bathroom. And there's a shampoo in there. And there was something kind of cool about like going down there, and it was only cold and freezing cold, and you just had to like suffer it. And once you get in there, it's like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
So I think there's we've talked about that on here. There's definitely health benefits to ice bath, and so I don't know. It feels kind of good. Yeah.
I think if I start out on cold, I can do cold. I can't go from hot and then crank it to cold, because that just like makes you want to cry.
No, because like sometimes you're like craving a warm shower.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I try to stay away from them because of the benefits of the cold. So I'll just start it on like lukewarm, and then crank it.
What are some of those benefits actually?
Well, we looked them up. We looked them up on here before. It's definitely like it has benefits for your heart. I know.
Circulation.
Circulation. Definitely.
I guess that's also heart. But
yeah, definitely. Let's go. Benefits of ice bath. Definitely like inflammation in the body. So like when you're healing and recovering from your workouts, from your Muay Thai workouts and stuff. It just says eases sore muscles. Let me see. I'll find something good. Obviously, it definitely will help you sleep if you do it before bed, just from lowering your core body temperature, because that's like really important for falling asleep. Let's see.
It'll definitely make you want to bundle up in the blankets a lot.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, that'll help me get all nice and cozy.
It says reduces inflammation and swelling. The cold temperature narrows your blood vessels, decreases blood flow to your muscle, which may reduce inflammation and swelling. Research suggests that cold therapy techniques lower post-exercise inflammation, better than other methods of compression. Relieves sore muscles, aids in exercise recovery. So the blood vessels dilate, reopen, increasing circulation. Nutrient-rich blood is able to flow into your muscles, remove metabolic waste. Lowers core body temperature. That's a benefit. So cool down when you're overheated. That would be like what you said with soccer. Yeah. Supports immunity. So healthy immune system. Improves mental health. Small study. 20-minute ice bath 4 days a week improved quality of life in people with gout. They had better joint mobility. I know someone
who might have a little bit of gout.
Yeah.
Just recommend an ice bath for him.
Right, you should. Or what is gout even? It's like too much meat or some shit.
Gout is like not like arthritis or maybe, but like there's basically a fluid that builds up and kind of crystallizes in like in the joints,
right,
or something like that. So it's kind of like arthritis, I guess.
I remember one of my bosses got it one time, and it was like everybody was making fun of him. It was like, Jesus, Mike. Like,
I think that's what happens. We kind of made fun.
Like, what? You just eat too much fucking meat and drink every day? Like, come on, bro.
I mean, that's pretty much, I think, how you kind of get it. And
like, see, red meat and seafood.
Yeah.
Sweet and so it's like it's basically like you're on the fucking like red meat and fucking soda and alcohol diet, and then you get the gout, which that's why they were making fun of my boss, because he definitely wasn't necessarily the healthiest dude when it came to like drinking and shit like that. But I don't know, dude. There's some place like I think it's called iVitality in Bellevue. They do like some kind of like they put you in this. Oh no, they have those ice. That the one dude I had on here was telling me about it. They put you in this like ice cryotherapy thing,
like a little. Like
it's like you get
something like a little chamber.
I think it's like a chamber, and the door opens, and you get in, and the shit bubbles. I think you might even have to wear like gloves in it.
Oh, okay.
And it like comes up to here, and like it's almost smoky right here. Like,
is it like? Oh wait, I think I've seen.
Let's look it up.
I've seen like one where it's kind of portable and it's inflatable, but this one's probably more like a actually stationary unit, right?
Right. I've seen those. I've seen those ones you're talking about on Amazon. Like they sell like ice baths, but they're like an inflatable one or some shit. I'm
and
like
they'll do even sectionals. Like I think it was in Costco the other day, and I saw a dude with like the inflatables around his legs or whatnot for like the same thing, essentially. Or
okay, so iVitality in Bellevue has cryo, sauna, and drip, whatever drip is. I thought that was like if we dress cool.
Yeah, I was thinking about coffee.
Yeah, that coffee drip, dude. You like coffee?
Oh, I do.
Love it too. Coffee. I know. I need to get a coffee machine in here, dude.
Oh, man.
Okay, so iVitality in Bellevue. What do they have? They have just a lot of recovery services.
It's really cool. Do they also have those
sensory deprivation tanks? That'd be fun to try, wouldn't it?
I really want to try one. I think that would be so awesome.
If you did that, would you like smoke or anything, or are you just kind of going there straight for the first time to like?
First time I'd probably go in straight.
Yeah, just because I mean the point is kind of like it's almost like it is the drug. It's just the sensory deprivation, not the
But then like maybe the next time I'd probably smoke or do something for it because I'm curious to know what that's like and like what I guess my brain will do naturally on its own by undergoing that process. You know.
Yeah, I'd like to try it like that too. It would be kind of fun to like. I don't know. I've always wanted to kind of try that.
I think there's definitely some places here. I think some of the people at the gym.
They have those like nap. They have those nap pods too. I've seen.
A nap pod.
I think you just like go take a nap in it.
And like basically the same thing.
I've seen those around too. I don't know if they're cool or not, but
it's like the same principle as like this.
It just like looked like an egg, and it's like a nap. Yeah. Like so, if you're busy and I think they have them like at places where you maybe can't go home. So like maybe you're at work.
Oh, okay.
And then you go get something to eat, and it's like this like nap pod, and I think it's in the mall or some shit. I don't remember.
Oh yeah, they've got that's like a thing. Like even so I work as a programmer too, and so when I was interviewing different places before I got the job that I have now, like some of the places they had like nap stations or like nap pods or like little cutouts or like rooms or something.
It makes sense in case you need like take a quick nap or whatever while you're like.
I wonder how many people actually use that though, and I feel like that's almost.
Would you use it, or I like to stay up once I'm up?
I look at it as a trap. I'm like, this is how they're seeing who's napping on the job.
Not really. You think they would be like looking at your productivity, like, oh, motherfucker's napping again?
Yeah, it's like he's been in the nap pod like 5 times this week, and it's like maybe this is.
They're judging you, dude.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure.
I think the sensory deprivation and the cold plunge, or the cold bath, and then maybe sauna would be where it's at.
I think so. That's like a good.
That's like the dream, dude. Have like a sauna and a cold plunge in my backyard.
Really?
Yeah, kind of.
Just like a, I mean, you can
like
just
a barrel sauna, and then one of those like, they make some pretty cool cold plunge ones where like, cause now I'm like, I think the option is like either you start going to a place like iVitality,
right,
or you get yourself a cow tank and put it in the backyard, and then every time you want to do an ice bath, you got to go run to the store and grab like 5 bags of 5 pound, bags of ice and fill it up, and then you just get in that thing.
Oh man, a cold plunge. I mean, I feel like you could do a cold plunge easily, like in your own place. But you could also probably equally do like a hot sauna, like maybe get like a storage building or something like that, or a little, habitat.
And just make it hot in there.
Make it really hot. Get some heaters or like water resistant heaters. Have a little hose.
Almost like a do-it-yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, or you could do it the dry way, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know the safety around.
I was gonna say the way you're saying like stuff made me think of a fire waiting to happen.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's some DIY YouTube stuff out there. I'm sure.
Probably, yeah.
I don't know if it outweighs the cost of just going to like iVitality, but
I don't either. Like finding a gym that just has a sauna.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the cold thing in the backyard would be pretty cool. But it's like you just have to buy a lot of ice,
Yeah, buying a lot of ice. Even I'm not what's the word, frugal, but even like when I go fishing, for an example, I I don't like to buy. I have to buy ice every single time, and sometimes I come back with no fish. For an example,
You're like, I just waste all that money on ice.
right? It's gonna be like $8 because I need to buy enough ice to cover the fish I'm going to catch, which is like at least 10 pounds of it.
Right.
And I mean, granted, it's not like a lot, but if like say I'm going every single day, and then that's like let's say $6, multiply that by 5, that's $30 that I spent like in the week, and maybe I didn't catch like a single thing, but I had to buy ice just in case. And so,
have you been fishing a lot?
I was towards the end of the summer. So yeah, I'm sure you saw on like my Instagram that I was.
Well, yeah, the pictures you sent me over, I was like, so. Besides Muay Thai, it looks like you have like quite a bit of hobbies as far as like.
I do.
I know we've talked like you might have even been hunting before too.
Yeah, I tried. Yeah, so I do quite a lot of. I do anything and everything is what I want to do, and if I don't do it, I haven't done it yet. Is how I kind of look at.
What are some of the things on the list you want to do?
Definitely like skydiving.
I was gonna say that seems like something where you were going with that.
I would definitely do skydiving. Anything in the air would be cool. I would love to get my pilot's license if I could have, if that becomes feasible. But I know that flying by yourself.
I was just like 2 shows ago. I had my friend Matt on, and he's from the band Bad Honey, lead singer. And he told me that I can't remember how many hours he's in, but he's getting his pilot's license.
Oh, that's dope.
So if you want to talk to him about it, yeah.
Yeah, like getting
it's
a pilot's
doable.
license. It's doable and it seems really cool. But once like getting a plane, so I have a buddy who also he has his pilot's license, but like to take a plane out and the cost that it.
That's the thing is you got to find somebody that has a plane.
Yeah, you have to have like someone who either owns a plane, or if you're part of a club, like if you do take out a plane, you have to like really think about your itinerary because it's like X amount of cost, and then it's almost wasted money if you don't take the plane out for like 2 days or something like that.
Yep, I know a dude. I'll find his name is Robert Moley, I believe. But when I first moved here, he was who I rented from. And he worked for Boeing for a long time, and I think he's part of a club maybe. Yeah. Or he maybe owns the plane. I can't remember. But if you want me to get you in touch with him, I bet I still could.
That would be awesome, actually.
Because he's a pilot, and so he took when I first moved here, but it was like 4 or 5 years ago. But I bet I could still get a hold of him on Facebook or something. I think I still got him. But he took me out like around Seattle in a plane. I was telling Matt that since he said he's getting his pilot's license. Or we could talk to Matt and see what he does for like how he gets his. You should do it.
I really want to. I know that the Snoqualmie they have like an air club out there and whatnot. So
get in it, man. That's like a cool hobby.
That would be something to do. I think I'm adding that. That's on the bucket list. But
just well-rounded. You get Muay Thai.
Yep, Muay Thai.
Working out, hunting, fishing, pilot,
surfing.
You're going to be set up for, like, if the world ends in a zombie apocalypse, you'll be one of the survivors.
The funny thing is, too, I think, and my coworker said, like, the same thing. When we were doing, like, these most likely to or whatever, and they came up, like, most likely to survive a zombie apocalypse, my name came up.
I'd put you in there. Yeah, you're pretty well-rounded with that stuff. That's the whole, like, the Muay Thai people. Most of them seem pretty capable.
Yeah, that's, like, something that I heavily subscribe. I think that's maybe why
Do you think that's where it comes from?
It might be why I gravitated to it so much. And honestly, probably the reason why I kind of got into it. Like, I just have this sense of wanting to be self-sufficient and self-capable of taking care of myself as well as, like, my surroundings.
Yeah, and, like, also other people in a sense, too. Right. Because it's, like, I do feel like... do you think that comes from like some sense of like even for me, it's like I don't really trust that society will stay intact. Like everybody gets so soft in this society and they take it so for granted, and it's like so they let themselves just become so complacent. And like I'm not saying I'm a badass because I'm definitely like if there was a zombie apocalypse, I'd be soft. I'd be one of the softest fuckers.
Really?
Well,
I don't think so.
I'm pretty hard on myself. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, well, compared to like some of these fucking people, though, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Compared to like the regular, people, I guess probably not. But yeah,
I call them yellow bellies.
Yeah. Compared to like, what do we call them? Like civilians. We'll call them. I think like, even in like working out or lifting, sometimes we call them like regular civilians.
Like, do you call them you know, like when you're snowboarding or something, Jerry's? Do you call them
Jerry's. Well, like, shit. Like in wrestling, you call the fans the marks. You said like, I don't know, just regular people that are like, society is safe and it's intact, so
because
it's taken care of.
Taken care of. Yeah.
I don't trust that.
I don't trust it necessarily.
So I feel like it is my duty as a human to be capable in some way, and I think that's where a lot of like my wanting to like lift and stay in shape. I mean, obviously some of it's because I want to look good and I want to be somebody, but there's something about like working hard or like trying to keep your body sharp, even as we get older, that it's like I just don't trust society, dude.
Right.
Because I don't think it's as intact as people think it is.
And I 100% agree with that. I mean,
it could go at any time.
Right. You know? And being, even not kind of being a minority, obviously, too. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, as you see, like, through history, at what times, being someone who is in that group, the government has, kind of, hasn't been been in your corner in like certain ways. So I think a little bit of that probably ingrained because obviously the generations and like my family, they probably imparted some of that. I mean, probably subconsciously went into like my, development.
Is that like a subconscious thing of wanting to be the best you can? To fight against that kind of like, or like...
I won't even say it's even directly that much. I think it's probably because of that.
Or because you don't...
created habits that like my family had to, just kind of live.
Well, because society wasn't always on your side where like, in fact, they were against you for so long.
Right. Or at least not... I won't even... If they're not against you, at least not like helping you as much as maybe...
Is that a sense of trying to like protect yourself against it? Or
I think so. In
trying to prove yourself against...
Protecting, maybe not so, but more so just... I think, again, going back to being self-capable. So it's just like I didn't choose to be born here, for an example, right? This is just where I am. But, I mean, I love this place. I love being American and everything like that. But at the same time, every government has its, falls and things. And, like, governing people is just, like, a hard thing in general. And it's hard to just cover everybody. So the most that you can do for... At least if I know that you're right. If I know that I'm doing all that I can to be okay, like with myself, and I can take care of myself, and I can take care of the people that like you don't
have to like
I don't have to rely
have somebody else take care of you or rely on the government to take care of you.
And I'm not at the mercy of like something else, and that's just a comfort that I guess that I just have. I just don't like being at anyone else's mercy.
Well, and when you're at their mercy, you're kind of also at their like their rules, and they're kind of like ruling over you in a sense where like if you're self-sufficient, you kind of are your own ruler.
Exactly. It's kind of like, when you want to move out of your parents' house, for example, or like living under your parents' roof. Like nowadays I joke and I'm like, oh, I would love to live under my parents' roof again.
Yeah, like, I did that. I went back, after college and lived with my parents and shit.
I honestly now see the light of that and I would do it again. But the thing that I know that I'd be sacrificing is, again, like I'm at the mercy in some way, shape, or form of them. And that's the one thing that I love about being on my own.
Yep, you get to like set the rules. You get to set the everything. Yeah,
exactly. And so getting into Muay Thai and stuff like that, I think it was more so, I mean, one, just wanting to stay healthy, wanting to take care of my body, but also two, I've always just kind of been infatuated with like fight sports. And
what was do you have some like fighters or people in the sport that really influenced you?
Prior to, not really. Actually, I take that back. Israel Adesanya. I've known him for a while. I love watching him fight.
He's like the best.
He's nuts.
I mean, I haven't been really following UFC, but like I follow him on Instagram, dude. And like his cockiness and the way he carries himself and like how good he is basically everything to me.
It really is, and I love seeing that from someone where like you can afford to be. You call it cocky, but it's just like no, he's just very upfront about what he knows.
And like it's a good kind of cocky. It's
exactly.
Like it's an attractive energy, honestly.
Yeah, and that's
I wouldn't say it's like a toxic energy of any kind, but it's like look, I know I'm this fucking good. Like, if you want to talk shit, I will fuck you up.
Exactly. And
Like
he
look
can
at
back
me.
it
He's
up.
like, look at me. Look at my body. Look how hard I train. Look at
Right.
what my fight record is. Like, he's fucking cool, man.
Yeah, I love watching him. And so I think he was a little, like, looking at that, I was like, yeah, I think I should pull the trigger on doing Muay Thai. Like, just learning about him, and just, it wasn't that long ago when I was just getting into fight sports, at least just like even watching was and stuff. That's probably what made me pull the trigger and say, okay, I'm going to go sign up for the classes and do it.
You think it was kind of him?
Yeah, it was kind of him.
Yeah.
But I think prior to that, just like, you know, being where I was, like, I see people like fight and whatnot, and I always like to think that I could protect myself if I found myself in that kind of a situation. You know, being in college, you see people get in fights and do whatever and whatnot. I'm typically stay away from that, even to this day.
Well, you should. Yeah,
I mean,
I tried.
Like, no one wants to be in a fight. But if someone were to walk up onto me,
you should be able to do it, but also be so in control of it that you only do it for a last.
Right.
You know, like you only do it if it's absolutely necessary.
Exactly, and if you when you do it, you try not to get carried away because
dude, people die.
Yeah.
Like, even if the person is completely in the wrong and you're in the right, do you know what that would do to you?
Right.
If you accidentally killed somebody?
Yeah, and that's something that, like, I can't.
So you want to be so in control of it that you could, like, take that guy out.
Yeah.
You could tap that guy out. You could be in total control, but also not hurt him, too.
Exactly.
I mean, obviously, you might have to hurt him, but you know what I mean.
You don't want to, like, mortally,
right.
Mess up this person. Because when I was in college, there was, like, I think one day, some kid, he was just being drunk, it was Halloween, in college town or bar town, so everyone's getting dressed up, just being belligerent or whatever. Yeah. And I don't think he did anything too weird. He's just like too drunk and just like bumped into someone, and like he just got laid out for no reason whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I don't know this guy, but I like stayed with him until cops and ambulance came just to make sure like his head was up and everything. But in my brain, I was just like, this is so, like, messed up. I don't understand, like, why this guy just thought. Maybe the other guy was also just super belligerent and just, like, did that.
Right.
But or maybe actually I think he had been, like, following the guys just, like, to the same bar and just saying whatever.
So the guy, even though he was in the wrong.
Right. Even though he might have been, like, say I just don't think it warranted that, contact, because, like, the dude for sure went to the hospital with at least like a concussion, because I saw like his head hit the concrete. I was like, oh, gross. I don't know what to do about that.
And he was okay though?
Right. But it could have been taken a step further, because the other guy could have, like, one of his buddies like jumped in and just started stomping him or something.
I know, that's what I mean. Like, people actually die in those situations.
Right.
And it's like,
and they think it's funny, or like or just doing what they think is like harmless, or just like getting like back, but no, like this could kill somebody. And
100%.
Being able to like if I could step in and like mitigate that in any way possible without putting myself in like extreme danger, like that's another thing that I think kind of drove me towards getting involved in this, and at least just having a bit more confidence in my own grounding and understanding what my body is capable of being able to do.
That too, right? Like, I'm actually making a post right here. I'm tagging you in it.
Good.
But yeah, I think it's that thing of wanting your body to be capable.
Right. And it's probably stems from a little bit of, like, I mean, I can see from here, like, you love superheroes, right? Like, everyone loves 100%. A superhero. Yeah. Everyone dreams of being a superhero, right?
Right.
Being able to step in and save the day.
You want to be somebody that's has those virtues and those values. And
right. And so I'm sure a little bit of that also is, like, kind of what, like, but how do you know without...
I mean, I think that is like a human thing.
It is.
And I think it's like a good human thing. It's like stories of like heroic stories have been passed down. Like even before there was superhero movies and comic books, like there was like fables and
epics
and like the Greek mythology and stuff. And I think that stuff's actually important. And I think there's value and meaning in it. And I think trying to live up to some of that stuff is actually a virtuous task in life, man. Like,
exactly. And it's the part where it gets a kind of squirrely, but it's one thing to see yourself as a hero, but also understanding what you're capable of doing is equally as important before you find yourself in a situation. Like,
Yeah,
for an
because
example,
it's also dangerous to be delusional
right.
and think you're a hero and you're just some guy beating the fuck out of somebody.
Exactly. Like,
But in your head, you're like this fucking amazing
Superman
superhero. I'm in the right, but really you're the douchebag. Like,
exactly. Or it's like, I'm not gonna go if there's an armed robbery. I'm not gonna run in there and be like, "Hey, stop." And
Oh yeah, like
you
you're
know
not
what I mean?
delusional in that sense of like I think
Yeah.
I'm Superman. No, you still would like
Exactly.
have to be careful in that kind of situation.
Yeah, but and so it's kind of, you know, that's what it kind of, I think, brings into a little too. It's like that little innate desire to want to be, you know, kind of a superhero and like at least my own controlled world and the way I see it.
Right, it's like you're
Yeah.
trying to be a virtuous good man.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and I think
So-
there's value in that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like I said, I think it can turn into like delusional, you
Yeah.
know, where you got like guys like going out and like trying to be vigilantes and shit like that, and like that can definitely be dangerous. Where, you know, in their own mind they're like some kind of fucking hero, but
Yeah.
I think it's good to try to be a capable person.
Capable and, you know, virtuous person.
Yeah.
I mean, virtue is subjective because obviously people have different.
Everybody has
virtues,
different
but-
opinions of moral, and people
Yeah.
people use moral high grounds in certain ways, and some of it's fucked up, but I think
Right.
overall like the basic stuff is like good, like, you know, not hurting other people, not
Right.
wanting people to get, you know, murdered, raped, beat
Yeah.
up, like sticking up for weaker people.
Yep.
The basics are
Yeah, the basics.
It's the basics,
All those
you
things.
know?
Yeah, the basics.
just the basics, you
Oh,
know.
we turned into Mike Tyson. He's the superhero.
Oh yeah, Mike. Yeah, I love Mike Tyson. That was
fantastic.
No, I did a Mike Tyson thing out here once because he was like doing that. Yeah, I just been smoking some weed with Ric Flair. You know, it's like you know, just woo. You know,
Dude, that's a really good Mike Tyson.
I like Mike Tyson. Yeah, he's like, he had that saying, just, you know, do what you hate to do, but do it like you love it. Just
Yeah.
do it every day like you love it.
That is so good.
But it's crazy how he's I've already done that on this podcast. I can't even cut that clip out now because I've already posted
done
that
it?
one. Yeah, it's already that one's old shit. I find myself like
You can bring it back.
Yeah, we could bring it back a few times,
You
but
can do it tomorrow for Throwback
No,
Thursday.
the basics was Ronnie Coleman like talking. Yeah, you just you know, your basic. You got your test, your D-ball. Just basic stuff, you know. He's like talking about all the steroids and stuff. He's like, you know, just you know, you got your test, you got your D-ball, just the basics, you know. That dude is crazy.
He is amazing. I love it. I mean,
I think he's all like laid up now. His back's all fucked up and everything.
Really?
But, yeah, Ronnie Coleman, because. Well, he did so many years of like lifting insane amounts of weight, all that stress on his back and everything. But that's another dude. It's crazy like the lengths the human body can go to.
yeah,
It's wild.
is that why you? So yeah, what's your motivation for wanting to do, you know, bodybuilding?
I
and
think
stuff?
it's really the same thing, man. It's just not wanting to be a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I just see weakness all around me, and it's to me it's like. It's okay, and I try to actually go easy on it because I'm too hard on it because
But
I
you just
see it
don't
everywhere.
want to be.
I just don't want to be
That's it,
that.
yeah.
If you want to be that, that's fine. I don't want to ever
Right.
try to tell anybody else how to live.
Exactly.
But I do look at it as like, and I'm not, and I like I said, I still find so much weakness in myself that
Yeah.
there's so much work to be done still. But it's like I just don't view like if you're taking the society so for granted that you think you can just become a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like you really are putting too much stock in it. Like
Yeah.
it's so veil thin, like society, like it could collapse in like
Then
I would
what
just
are you gonna
rather
do?
be a capable person, you know? Like,
Yeah.
And I mean, and even like lifting and stuff, that doesn't make you really capable or like like I always think it's crazy because like where are you from again?
Oh, that's South Carolina.
Yeah, because I'm like, you know, being from Iowa, it's like
Oh, you guys
Actually,
are lifting cows for breakfast.
the fucking people back home in like small towns
Yeah.
in like Midwest that like those are the people that if there
You
was
guys
a
are more than
fucking
capable.
apocalypse, dude, they would be the ones survive. All the city folks would just be like, I just don't know. I don't know what to
Yeah.
do. Like, you know, and like it'd be such a different like if shit ever hit the fan, you'd see so many people like all of a sudden being like, "You're not redneck assholes. I like you now.
Yeah.
Please come help me." You know?
Yo, absolutely.
Because it's like it's so easy when you're like living in a city and you get some education and you know
have a bubble.
Because people in small towns, they live in a bubble too.
Yo, that's
so
true,
it gets
yeah.
frustrating for people outside that bubble who've maybe learned things or experienced things, even with different races, different sexualities, different nationalities. And so they get outside of that bubble, so they like see the people in this little small town bubble and they're like, God, what a bunch of fucking uneducated redneck fucking idiots.
Yeah.
You know, and it's easy to do that, but then
you go in
there's value in there too, but then you're in a bubble in your spot too, like, and it's almost like if they could like both get along, they'd both learn something from each other.
Oh, absolutely. And it also has to be obvious. The one thing is the desire to learn outside of your own bubble too.
It's hard to keep that openness, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what I would say, let's say, separates, virtuous people from, like, say, an asshole. It's like you have to just keep that level of openness and even sometimes even a step further have a desire to try and understand.
Right, to understand something that you don't. Like,
right.
Because I even think that too with, like, when I get talking about, like, these weak people and it annoys me because I'm trying to, like, do these hard pursuits that make me a capable person.
Yeah.
But then there's value in, like, like, okay, man, you're working too hard. Like, just relax. Like, have a beer. Like, there is value in, like, they have a lesson too. And it's like, well, life's so short. I just want to enjoy it. Right. You're over there just bashing your head against the wall, working so hard. I'm over here like, yeah, I'm ruining my health with like drugs and alcohol, but I'm having these magical, wonderful experiences that are like, transcending my brain waves and like having these. You're not having those experiences because you're over in this energy. So like, there's even value in that. You can learn from everybody. It's weird.
There's value in anything as people play, and so for an example, people who take comfort in, say, the society bubble, for example. I mean that. It can in a way could teach someone to be a bit more reliant on things. So like you don't have to do everything for yourself, and that's like something that I can very much like take a note from because there's I strive to be as self-capable. Some things I like doing it just the hard way, or like it's been that way just because
take the path, the hardest path,
right? Because it's gonna like put some fur on my chest or something,
Yeah.
But you don't have to do that. I mean, and the only reason why society's gotten the way it is today because we do cooperate and like just as a natural process of life, like things cooperate. I mean,
it is pretty amazing that human beings are able to do that.
Exactly.
Cooperate to the level that like we have this system in place where like we have all these buildings, all these people living together, and I mean people are murdering and killing each other, but for the most part everybody's like pretty much getting along,
Yeah, I mean when you put in like us, what do you call it? When you look at it from the higher end, I mean, yeah, for the most part we're all cooperating, and so that's. I think it only gets kind of depressive because like obviously when you look at the news, we're staying tuned and social media and stuff like that. They're only gonna post stories on like that has buzz. I mean, they're only gonna post like those, let's say, things that are going bad because I don't think no one wants to read, hey, everyone's having a good day today.
It's always stuff that's gonna be like sensationalized. Like we're all gonna die. You're all gonna die. Like.
So it kind of sucks. Kind of like what was that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio? Don't Look Up.
That was a great movie.
Yeah, I loved that movie. That was great.
I enjoyed the shit out of that because it was like, I liked that movie because it kind of like poked fun at everything.
It's very satirical.
It poked fun at like both political parties.
Yeah,
that's why I liked it.
It was great. I loved it absolutely. Like every.
I liked Meryl Streep as like the female Trump type character. That was funny as fuck.
That's hilarious. And even Jonah Hill in it too.
Oh yeah, he was almost like like Donald Trump Jr. kind of character. Like,
do you think Jonah Hill's actually like an asshole in real life? Like
I really don't know, to tell you the truth.
It's hard to tell because I know that people like I hear. Or read X, Y, Z. Like sometimes he can come off as an asshole, but like I don't know if like that's the persona that like we just.
Yeah, and sometimes it's like something you can't understand because you're not like
there
in his spot where with the level of success he's had and like who knows what it's like when you're famous and
right.
It probably gets really weird.
You ever think about that sometimes? Like if you were famous, like how you would even like adjust like your personality. Or
I don't think I'd want it to really happen. Like I want this podcast to do well. I'd like to get just to a level where like it was successful.
But you can keep your personal privacy.
Yeah, because dude, it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be like every like thing that you've ever done in the past is gonna come out. And, like all your exes and all these people you hooked up with. And, like,
and it just snowballs from there. And
it's all gonna be like, and it's like I don't feel like I have anything that I'm like really worried about. Like if it would come up, but it's like, who knows, dude? It's like
you don't want to have to address it.
It's like
your everyday life without having
every little thing you've done when you were young and wild, and I can't think of anything too extreme in my case, but who fucking knows, dude? The way you spin something, or like
it's
like I remember watching Rob Lowe. You know Rob Lowe, the actor.
Yeah.
And he was like most famous. I mean, he's still still really famous, and he was really famous in the 90s.
I know him from Parks and Rec.
Yeah, Parks. That's what I'm saying. So he still is like super famous, but like he was really blew up in the 80s because he was like a young like heartthrob actor. Yeah. And I remember he was on this podcast, and he was like, man. He was like, I am so glad that I was like at the height of my popularity in the 80s. Before
social media.
And social media. He's like, because we got to have fun.
Yeah.
You know? And they do now too, but like then everything's
scrutinized so much.
Everything's scrutinized. And then people start doing things just for attention now. Even that like Kanye thing and shit that he just did. Like,
oh, what?
Well, Kanye like just wore a hoodie that said "White Lives Matter."
Oh, I think I saw like.
You can do all these things.
Oh, yeah, with Candace something.
Candace Owens.
Yeah.
And it's like, so there's all these things that you can do now, and some people are really good at it, like Logan Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually really like Logan Paul and his brother, but they're so good at like sensational stuff.
Yeah.
That's like it's like anything that's gonna make that buzz, that shareable thing on social media.
Yeah, anything, or like if you look at Bad Baby.
Da Baby. Or no,
not the baby. Bad Baby. The little 15-year-old girl who was on.
You mean that Cash Me Outside chick?
Yeah, Cash Me Outside girl. Like her rise to I guess like fame is literally being sensational. You know.
Right. She was on Dr. Phil and said "Cash Me Outside" and all that shit.
Continued doing that, and now
I think she had like a huge like musical career because of that.
Yeah, she had some rap songs out there, and
I mean she's probably a millionaire.
Oh yeah, she is.
What is it, Bad Baby?
I think it Bad Baby, but spelled like BHABI or something like that.
Oh my god.
I know that like now, like the moment she turned I think 18 and started an OnlyFans, that was like her main thing to have a good source of income.
Dude,
it's also
how much does she make on OnlyFans?
I don't even know. It also kind of made me feel a certain way when I looked at it. I was like, people were waiting for her to turn 18 this year.
It's
like
creepy.
You're right. It's like how long have you been thinking about this for?
It says, people are always in the wings waiting for somebody to turn 18, dude. It's like
I know.
You'll see people like on Twitter start their OnlyFans like the day they turn 18. Finally 18, OnlyFans is up. Click. Like that's the shit. That's how it works. Bad Baby is now worth $50 million after OnlyFans.
My goodness.
So that's the key is if you blow up, then you start your OnlyFans.
That must be how, because you have to be able to promote it, and
first you got to get a level of success, and then you start your OnlyFans. That's the correct way to do it.
Dang.
Yeah, I did it backwards. I just started it without the success.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How's that going?
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any tips if I decide to start one?
This girl at work was actually giving me like a ton of tips on how to do an OnlyFans. Yeah. She's like, yeah, you got to get like certain lighting, and she's like, you got to get like a mesh shirt, and then like some eyeliner, paint your nails black, have like a red light, she's giving me all these ideas and shit.
Trying to help you figure out like your own OnlyFans style.
Yeah, you got to have like some kind of style probably.
Yeah.
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 But it's crazy, like the amount of money. There was some Disney star that did it. I mean, male and female, I'm pretty sure. But there was a female Disney star that did it, and like, I think she made like $2
Bella
million,
Thorne,
and then pissed everybody off because she didn't actually show any nudity.
Was it Bella Thorne? No,
I think
Bella
it
Thorne
might be,
probably
dude.
I feel like she should have made it. It's Bella Thorne.
We could look it up. Disney star that started in OnlyFans.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Bella Thorne will come up.
Yeah, let's look at this shit.
I don't know if it's the one where maybe she didn't show any nudity.
Well, I remember there was one that really pissed people off because, like, she was so famous. I think she was so famous that she started an OnlyFans, made all this money, and then she like ruined everything for like OnlyFans creators or some shit because like they ended up not being able. She made so much that they couldn't like pay it out or something, and then like they put like a limit on the tip amount then, where people used to be able to get crazy tips, but then like after she came, I don't know. Don't listen to me. I don't know if any of this is true, but.
I mean, it sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah, it's like
putting my money on the hat and saying it's Bella.
It says Bella Thorne had been embroiled in a controversy over selling $200 nude photos on OnlyFans that were not as described. Okay, so she said one thing and then
it turned out to be another.
It resulted in OnlyFans placing a cap on the prices creators can charge. Okay. The former Disney actress issued an apology. So she's already rich and famous, and then she just fucks up like the gig for all these like regular people trying to like fucking make money.
Right.
So it really made her look bad. Yeah. Damn. So they capped the tip amount because of her. So like, say you're like some like you know middle income person, you just started like making money on OnlyFans. And you're able to get some of these massive tips once in a while from some dude.
But then it just got capped.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, now I can only get a fucking $50 tip. That's it. I was making like $500 tips for doing this or doing that. Or,
oh, man.
I'd be pissed.
I'd be pissed, too.
Bella Thorne fucked it up for everybody, dude.
What a shame.
I know it is a weird time where, like, people can make so much money on the internet.
Oh, it's absolutely... it's
wild, dude.
It's really weird. I mean, it might even contribute to a little bit what we were talking about earlier about the what do you call them, the civilian lifestyle, or like not being self-sufficient, but like if you think about it, like their livelihood depends on like, you know, the public, right?
Right.
And a lot of people are now, because that's what's getting shown a lot. A lot of people want to be that, like, you know, e-gamers or you know, sports people. And
people make tons of money just playing games on Twitch too. So it's like we're turning into this like it's like a entertainment based capitalism.
Right.
So I've heard people project that like in the future, like hardly anybody's gonna have regular jobs. Almost everything's gonna be automated.
Right.
And then all humans are just gonna basically be creating content, selling content to each other in forms of entertainment and creativity, and that's basically what the future is gonna look like.
That's so weird.
It's gonna be weird. So there'll be less like real job. Who knows? I don't know what it's gonna look like, but
hey,
I try to stay
happens.
Like we were talking earlier. I try to stay like open to it.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to, especially.
Because even like well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so even like this podcast, and like my TikTok and my fitness Instagram, like, I realize that all those things is just like my need to be creative. That's all they do. It's like they fill. So it's like probably part of it is like some sort of narcissism, or like we get dopamine from like posting, and I'm sure there's some of that there. But then it's like I realize that like everything I do online is like it's really just taking the place of like I used to play in bands, I used to do pro wrestling. Like it's always been this like entertainment based like this creative part I have.
Just something you want to. I mean, you're doing it for yourself.
You're doing it for yourself. Right. Yeah, I realize that. I really am doing it for myself. It's like, of course I like when I get likes, and I like the dopamine kick and everything, but I'm doing it anyway, and it's like, it's something about, even the fitness Instagram motivates me to do more. And then it's like, next week I want to try to do better, and like try to get my content better. And it's like, I'm like, oh, so some of this isn't just like wanting this like attention and all this stuff, because like you can actually use it. That's the cool thing. You can use it to like make money. You can use it to like sell products. You can use it to like basically turn your passions into a career.
Yeah.
But also, I realized
it's self-progress as well.
Well, but also that it's like it's really just about like learning about yourself and like kind of like what you said before. Like when you get into something like Muay Thai, like you're always self-critique. Like every time I watch a podcast, I'll look back and I'll be like, oh, I interrupted, or I did this, or I did that, or something I could probably do better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like you're always trying to like be a better creator, or you do it with the gym too. Like I could do that better if I did this. If I work with this guy, I can get my squat up to this. It's like it all kind of comes from a creative place.
It really does.
Even Muay Thai is probably like that.
It is, and one thing that I need to be better about is recording regularly. Like, you remember Ryan at the gym, right?
Which one's Ryan?
Butler, bigger guy.
Probably
Big Ryan, and he would come with like Vanessa. And
he came with his girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
And he had like the slick back hair and the tattoos. He was,
I remember Ryan. Yeah, I mean, he, I still, talk to him and whatnot, and he always tells me every time we talk, it's like, you're recording your videos or whatnot, and, I had my GoPro, I lost it a little bit.
Start doing it again, because it's like it's like watching tape, dude. Like, even when you were watching, like, Israel Adesanya, that was all seeping into your mentality. It was all influencing you. Like, I was talking about, like, before I started pro wrestling, I just got obsessed with watching. I remember I bought like $50 worth of. So like my friend was like this dude who bought like name was Brad. Shout out to Brad. He used to just go fucking crazy buying DVDs. Like, so he had this huge wrestling collection. This is before like you could watch now I could just like watch it all on YouTube or like streaming service. I think Peacock has like all the old wrestling catalog, which I watch all the time if I'm doing cardio. But when I was a kid, I gave him like $50 because he was just trying to get rid of some of his massive catalog of DVDs. And he gave me this huge wrestling collection. And I just remember watching it like you would watch tape if you're in football.
Yeah.
Or like what you could do for Muay Thai.
Diagnosing every little thing.
You have to put the physical movement in too, I'm not saying. But something about watching it done, even on film, it seeps into your like your mentality. Like you're watching, and we're such mimics as humans. So you watch like Bret Hart do a certain move, and then you find yourself doing it, and like,
or at least figuring out how to,
or wanting to figure out how he did it. Like, hey, how did he do that? And then you take yourself in the ring and you try to figure it out. And
exactly. It's like prior to the seminar that I just had with Sintrai, I actually. For like the week prior, actually a couple weeks prior I was just watching a bunch of Sintrai fights. I mean, granted, before I even knew that I was going to go to like a seminar, like I already was just like a fan of his. I just love his style. It's very playful. It's very, he has great movement. I mean, he is the GOAT for a reason. But, I've just been watching a lot of his stuff, and there's something about like mentally, again, it's just like watching tapes, like mentally thinking about it. Or even conditioning yourself mentally, because as much as something is physical, I mean, there is a mentality aspect to it. So it's almost like studying for, the physical part. I mean, you have to put two and two together, and
they both complement each other, possibly.
Right, they both definitely complement each other, because you definitely have to, people say if you want to be good at something, you put in the work, obviously, while you're in training, but you have to do like some additional work sometimes. Like
it's
outside,
like homework,
right? It's it's homework. And
it's like so. I'm going to start training people soon. That's my next goal, is to become a really good personal trainer. And so it's
I think you'd be good at that.
Yeah, that's my passion, and it's something I think I can be good at. So I'm gonna do the NASM certification. But like, if you see all those books over there, like that's like my extra. I mean, not the Berserk manga stuff. That's just for fun, because I just dig that shit. But all the like the applied kinesiology and the practical programming, that shit's all because that's like stuff that I'm super interested in. So once I finish my test next month, then I'm gonna dive into that stuff. I also got this other book I've been reading, and you're right, it's like just extra. And I imagine Muay Thai is like that too.
It is, and like when I'm doing, say, like my homework, I mean, in my brain, the one thing that I think, you're building your ring IQ, right?
Right.
So, like, you're just trying to think of putting yourself in different scenarios and thinking about how you can address them. And, like, when you see something get thrown at you, you're wondering how to counter it, or, how to even get ahead of it, how to think in the ring, how to think 2 steps ahead and think about what you can do. And there are things that, like when I'm doing my homework, I'm kind of in this stage where I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I could do that. And so when I look at that, when I was looking at Saenchai's fights and stuff like that, looking at how he moves, like the level of calm, thinking about the combinations he strings together, like what are the things that say gives him an edge to win that battle over something else, and no different than say when you're looking at tapes in like football, what was it that you guys did that night as a team, or like what worked, and take what worked, look at what didn't work, address it. And in the sense of if I'm just looking at a video where it all just like works, I'm more so just adding like those tools to my mentality to go into the gym and then try that and see like in what areas does that work, and how my body should like function or try to accomplish the same thing, and maybe not the exact same thing but similar.
Oh yeah, dude, it's like
it's amazing.
You just described basically like the want and the passion to become better. And then how like the human brain basically views it as problem solving.
Yeah.
And so everything you were just saying is like your brain's taking in and doing all these calculations on how to become better. And then you go to sleep and it does it in your sleep. It you know what I mean? Saying like you're learning your nervous system's learning a pattern, like how to throw a punch, and you're trying to fix your punch, and then you start correcting it as you're training. And then when you go to sleep, your brain is running through it. Like they've done those studies on mice where they're trying to figure out the maze. So that's like your body, or like a quarterback trying to learn a new throw. Like that's his, you know what I'm saying? So like you're practicing it, and then you go to sleep, and they've done studies on like, I think they did these studies with this game, I can't remember, but it was like a video game thing, and then they would study the people while they slept, and their brain would be going through the pattern of the video game, and they would get better at it day to day.
There are moments where like I'll have dreams too when like I'm almost like doing work in my sleep, like in the dream, and it's like I always wake up out of that like, did that actually just happen?
Because your brain's actually doing that for you while you, I mean, that's why sleep is so important. It's like it's actually necessary, and you are learning while you're sleeping. Your nervous system's learning, your body's getting better. It's pretty crazy.
It's really like the human body, like all the books that you're reading and stuff. I mean, it's something that like I want to dive into further, like as I get older and down the line, because I mean, what you can do with the human body, like it's absolutely amazing. And it's like how people say like, oh, I'm a logical thinker versus like emotional and things. Like everyone's a little bit of everything. It's just like, what does it take, I feel like, to maybe activate those different parts, so you have different stimuli that does that. But at the end of the day, for an example, like our bodies, I say kind of work like computers. I'm also a programmer, so I mean,
so
there's a little bit of bias. There's maybe like a little bit of bias here, but like we are doing like these things subconsciously, like you just said, our nervous system or our thought process, our brain is performing these calculations.
Well, we are a computer, basically.
We are.
Our body is like it really is. Even our brain system, it's like we think our thoughts are like so. I don't know, original and shit, but like most of them came from somewhere else,
Right. And even still, or I'd even like to take it not a step further, but so we have machine learning, right? Or we call it machine learning or deep learning or neural learning nowadays. But basically, you feed into a computer, historical data, and you're teaching it to learn and develop new ideas. So you can come up with original things, but it's built on top of a process that already existed, or like historical data.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's kind of like, I mean,
we're kind of built on the backs of our ancestors, honestly.
Right. And
like,
so it's just amazing to think, like, for an example, I can program how I wake up in the morning. I know that if I do this, I'll wake up at 6 a.m. without even an alarm. And it's something that, I don't know, it's just the human body is really an interesting thing to dive into, and I really love, that's another reason why I've gotten into this. Like, I love learning about my body and what I can.
I feel like, when you do physical things, it actually puts you more in touch with your body, too.
It does.
And it somehow strengthens your brain, actually, too.
It does.
So it's like, what do you think about our brain? Do you think we're part of our body, or do you think we're some separate thing, and then this body is just like ours for our life, and then... I mean, not to get too deep, but I always wonder, like, if we're a soul inside this and it's something else, or like...
I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's like the logical part of me that's like, well, this is what I do now. I have a brain.
Yeah.
And the brain is doing everything that I can think. Like,
It's just a
I think it's
computer.
all one unit. I think of it all as one unit.
Yeah.
I mean,
you don't think it's like separate and then the body is just this like. Because I think
husk.
that. Yeah, I think that a lot. Like we're really somewhere else, but the body is like
I don't know.
just this thing that we're in for a short period of time.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that I think I see it more as like it's all just one unit. Like
So the brain
I don't
is
think
formed inside the body, and that's it. It's a spark in there, and then
yeah, and
once
then,
you're dead, you're just dead. Kind of thing.
that's honestly kind
Yeah.
of like it's one of those things.
Well,
where,
most
like, I don't
scientists
know,
believe
yeah.
that for sure.
Yeah, and it's I don't know. Maybe it's because I haven't spent too much time into it. I mean, like I say I'm spiritual, and I believe in like there's something out there that obviously started all of this. But as far as what I know today, that's kind of what like I kind of cap off on my focuses because I could really get lost in like trying to like.
Oh,
dive
me
into
too,
that,
'cause
I'd have to
they're-
take it like day at a time.
Like even some of our customers at the bar, they get really deep like that, and it's like, so is reality formed from consciousness, or is consciousness formed from reality, or like?
It's like the chicken and the egg
Yeah,
question.
it's
and
basically.
whatnot.
Dude, we could take some of these mushrooms.
Oh my god. So those are.
So the powerlifting, I had a friend who gave me some psilocybin microdose stuff, and they're pretty cool.
Oh man, I actually did mushrooms not that long ago.
How was it?
Oh, it was fantastic.
Yeah, it's like it's weird. Like the microdose stuff is just like, I don't know. It's just a really slight, weird feeling. You're just like, oh, it feels like this is nice.
Yeah, I mean,
Like you go watch something. Like I was watching Archer.
Oh, I love Archer.
That show is so good, right?
This is not Archer Vice, but like.
No, like the new
the-
season of Archer. Do you
they're
watch
still
Archer?
they're still making Archer.
Yeah, even though his mom passed away.
Oh man,
It's
been a long time since I've seen Archer.
You know the lady that played Mallory Archer passed away. She was in like Arrested Development. What was her name? Jessica Walter. So it does suck because I always thought that show was so good because her and
Because
Archer
of
are
her-
both like raging
the-
alcoholics.
Yeah.
And just like the dynamic between her and her son and like, but it's still a good show without her. But man, she was. You don't realize how big of a part she was
Until she's gone.
Until she's
Oh,
gone.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea. It's been a long time since I've seen Archer, so this is definitely before like she died. It was when I
So
was
you were
like,
watching? Yeah, you haven't seen it in a while. Yeah, there's some
Yeah,
new
no.
seasons. They've made 1,000,000 seasons. It's still good. It's still a good show.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Do you have any
I'm
favorite
not-
shows? Are you mostly just Muay Thai right now?
Right now,
Do you try to stay
I'm
away from
really-
TV or?
Oh, I definitely I watch TV at the end. Of
That's what I was gonna say. Like we're
I
talking
have
about.
to wind down.
We're talking about being these like trying to be exceptional, you know,
beings,
human
and-
beings, and not take this society for granted. So, but I still fucking watch too much Netflix. And shit,
Right,
yeah.
like I go home at the end of the night. And, like right now, I'm binging Naruto.
Naruto? Is
Yeah.
that anime?
It is anime.
What is what's it about?
I'm surprised you've never heard Naruto. Oh man,
I've watched Berserk. I've watched. I was actually watching that new Tekken show, which was pretty good.
Oh man, I know that's a video game.
Yeah, it's a
So,
video
yeah.
game. They made it into like an anime. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that's actually a good market that they're covering. I mean, slight segue, but like you know,
I'll start
they
watching
did that with
Naruto.
Arcane.
Is that like some kind of?
It's like the ninja world, and basically there's just a bunch of. Each season has a main bad character, but the premise of it is that they live in this ninja world and they have these special abilities. And actually, like Israel Adesanya, for example, one of his things, he loves Rock Lee, one of the characters on the show, who specializes in taijutsu, which is basically like hand-to-hand combat or martial arts.
Is Naruto on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix and it's on Hulu.
Okay.
At least I think it's still on Netflix. I watched the first actual Naruto show on Netflix, and then for Shippuden, which is say the second show or next chapter, that's on Hulu, and there's 500 episodes at least.
Yeah, I might have to check that
There's
out. I do love anime shit, dude. It's
Yeah.
it gets you especially if you're doing something like Muay Thai. I feel like it.
kind of motivational.
Yeah, because you start like you said, it's the it's wanting the superheroes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they kind of paint them too. Like, yes, sometimes with superhuman abilities, but also I think they do a good job of really humanizing a lot of their characters a bit more than like maybe some of the things that like we have here. Except for I recently saw The Boys.
Oh my god, that show is so fucking good, dude.
I love The Boys.
What's yeah, are you on the new season or?
I think I finished it. I'm up to date with
Yeah,
everything that they have.
I think I am too. Yeah, like we're Homelander. Oh, I don't want to spoil her.
I know but I think I'm up to date. Everyone should know like prior to that.
The new season opened with like the craziest scene. Like, remember that? Where like the two boyfriends were doing that and just the fucking
yeah,
that was the most. I'm like, okay, this show is definitely not lost to any of their fucking craziness.
No.
You know?
I mean, I binged it. I was sucked in because I just started watching it. I think it was a couple months ago, and I binged it all the way through until what was like the most recent season.
It's bingeable for sure.
It is. It's great.
I definitely like what the fuck is it? The Cobra Kai shit.
Everyone's watching Cobra Kai. My crew Josh, he's watching it. Buddy Abed, he's watching it.
Yeah, Abed's watching it.
Yeah, I guess I gotta start watching it now.
Dude, it's like so bingeable, and the funny thing is, I never even saw those old movies, like the Karate Kid movies.
Yeah,
and I still enjoyed it.
Really?
Yeah,
I saw the original Karate Kid, but like after
I've never seen it. It's just like Cobra Kai is so like fun, and it like throws you back to like 80s movies kind of. Yeah. Like just like fun like action movies that are cheesy kind of.
Yeah.
But still like well done. I don't know, I enjoyed it.
I love things like that. I feel like I always joke.
There was a Predator movie like that.
Really?
That was like
a recent one or?
Yeah, like they made some serious Predators. And I think there's a new show called Prey, which is like a Predator on Hulu that I haven't seen. But they did one. One of the Predators they made was like, and it had like the guy from Key and Peele.
Yeah,
the bald one.
That one's Key. Not Michael Key. Yeah,
he's in it, and like it's one of the like they did it like the style. I think it was in like 2010s or something, but they did it in the style of like the 80s, like fucking like you know, just like over the top cheesy masculinity and fucking like extra swearing and like yeah man, you know, like that's not a gun, this is a gun, you know, like just some crazy ass shit. It was good, dude.
There's something to be said, I think, about that time period. Like when you said earlier about Rob Lowe saying it was great being like famous like during the 80s, like where he kind of peaked. I joke about this here and there with like my parents growing up. I'm like, you guys kind of grew up in like a fantastic time, and like I've been going back like even music wise, like I've been listening to like Busta Rhymes a lot lately, and like going back and listening to like the OGs of rap, and like just diving into like older music. And I don't know why, but it's all centered between the 70s and like really I'll say like 80s and 90s. I was like, that must have been the time to be alive. And like I was like, I think that everyone just kind of like says that, or like in their generation, whatever the time you're living, you probably think that the time.
A lot of it's nostalgia, and you just think the stuff you grew up on is the best.
Right. And
but there's probably some subjective stuff where like certain time periods were fucking better.
Right. And like I grew up on that, even though I didn't live in those time periods mainly. Like I went and asked my mom the other day. I was like, you guys kind of had it great during like the 80s and 90s. And I was expecting her to be like, no, you guys have it great now. It's like, yeah, no, it was great. Like she didn't even try to downplay it at all. She was like, yeah, we had it pretty good. I don't know what's going on today. You guys are... I mean,
well, it's weird because the cell phones and like the social media and stuff, and like even like the podcasts, all this stuff makes now really fun. And like now is probably the best time that it's ever been to live, like statistically speaking. But I do think that we lost some elements of fun that you could only have before there was like cell phones and social media.
Yeah.
And they got to have that.
Exactly.
It was like stuff that was only exciting because their attention wasn't taken by so much extra stuff.
Right.
So like you could put your attention all on one more simple thing. And so like things were, I think they're probably... There's stuff that's better, stuff that's worse, but yeah, there's some stuff that only could have been fun because there was no social media.
Right, and I think that's what it probably like comes from, and why I even say that, because I don't like being on my phone all the time. You know, I sit at a computer all day.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, again, you know, everything's happening on your phone and whatnot, I try to minimize the amount of time on my phone as much as possible. So that's probably where.
Right, I think it's a nostalgia thing too. Like I like something about like even like the crazy color schemes of the '80s and shit. Like
I love those.
The like neon pink and the fucking greens and like
when you see those headbands I walk in with at the gym.
Yeah, you kind of do some of that shit, don't you?
I have like the white turquoise and purple, like that '80s like cup or '90s cup that you get that design.
You gotta rock that look.
I love it. I love this.
It's a vibe, dude. See, that's what Cobra Kai is.
I love that.
It's got that whole vibe of like it makes you feel like you're just like should be like wearing like a fucking like pink and black headband and like some Zubas and like you know what I'm saying? It's got that because like even the one dude, the character in it is kind of like stuck in the '80s where he's like hates new music and he's always like, come on, we gotta listen to like this, and he'll like play like old school like '80s hair metal and shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a fun character, dude.
I need to get on that show.
Yeah, it's pretty good, pretty likable.
I feel like mustaches are in too because of that now. Like, is that a thing? Like, have mustaches always been around, or do I just feel like right now, like mustaches really?
No, they're like back with a vengeance, and I don't know how or why or what happened. Well, I
keep trying to do a mustache too. Like,
are you gonna do one? I know recently there was that Top Gun movie.
Oh yeah, with Miles Teller's mustache.
Yeah, so that dude like really popularized mustaches all of a sudden.
I think it was right before that. At first, I came out here when I moved out here like 2 years ago, and I saw a lot of it, and I thought it was like an outdoorsman thing.
It might be something to do with this area.
But like, and then I went in the city too, like in Seattle. Like, I mean, mustaches, like, and I love the mustache look, and if I can grow a thicker one, like I want to do it. But
there's definitely kind of a hipster, like Seattle craft beer kind of like thing where like they all kind of look like they're Zach Galifianakis or something. Yeah.
It's. I think it's something like that, but I always feel like it rips off again of that time period when like mustaches were also like hot.
Yeah, like the '80s and shit. Yeah.
Maybe they were like riffing off of another time period that also had mustaches that were hot, but I feel like
isn't that funny? Like we rip off old periods of time like '90s or '80s, and then who knows where they were looking, where they got that from? Like they were probably looking to some time before that, and then
that's so strange.
It's pretty wild, dude. Yeah.
I can't even imagine that you about that, but yeah, I need to get on Cobra Kai, I guess.
I think so.
I also need to catch up on the new season of like Stranger Things too while I'm at it.
Oh, you haven't seen that yet either?
No.
That's another show that for some reason just like makes me feel like super nostalgia bomb, like
yeah,
it's so good.
Well, let's see. When did you grew up during?
I mean, the thing is that about the '80s is I don't remember it. Like I was actually more like. No, I mean I remember like when I was a little kid, like see I got the He-Man action figure there.
Yeah.
I definitely remember watching like cartoons in the '80s and shit, but like I was probably like 14 in like 1999, so like most of my memories are like late '90s, early 2000s. Like that's what I remember of childhood.
Yeah.
So definitely like early 2000s was more my adolescence than like the '80s. So, but I do remember like Transformers. I remember the stuff from when I was like a super little kid, I guess. But like, I was born in '85, so it's like I was more like a kid in the '90s, really.
Yeah. I feel like that was a good time.
Because you don't really remember much from when you're like 5 years old, like.
Yeah, no.
But I remember a lot of shit from the '90s, like from when we were like. Saturday Night Live, like Chris Farley, like Guns N' Roses, all the like cool albums that were coming out in that time, like.
You're just making me more and more jealous. Like, I mean, I was born right at the end of it. It was like in '98, and so I got a little bit of like the early 2000s. I thought that was good until I think around 2012 was where it was kind of like for me.
Stuff started getting different.
Yeah, maybe it was that movie that just like was. Remember that movie?
2012.
2012.
Like the world was supposed to end and shit.
Like, everyone was just like, maybe that's what ruined it for me.
Yeah, wasn't that like just a horrible movie?
I think so. I was also a kid. I don't think I wasn't a huge movie critic back then, so I think I saw it.
You're probably this is just awesome.
I don't even think I thought much of it. I think I was just like, well, at least I don't think the world's ending.
I don't. Yeah, that was so weird. It was like some Mayan calendar thing.
Yeah, because I was like 14. Yeah, I was like 14.
I remember a lot of shit from pro wrestling from like that time, like when Chris Jericho first appeared, like 1999. He came and like interrupted The Rock with the whole Y2K thing. So it was like there was like that whole Y2K thing where everybody thought like the world was gonna end when it, you know, the clocks won't know what to do and they strike. So they did that in wrestling where it was like this countdown clock kept showing up, and finally it was like down to 0, and all of a sudden it was Chris Jericho, and it was like his theme song, and he interrupted The Rock, and that was like one of those classic moments. I definitely remember that.
What do you remember, like New Year's 2000 actually?
Not much. Nothing bad happened.
Really?
Why did something bad happen?
Well, no. I mean, just like...
I mean, shortly after 9/11, but that was...
Oh, okay, yeah. But, I mean, like... I mean, I don't have any... Like, I would like to think that everyone lost their mind once it became, like, the year 2000
Yeah, it was definitely different. What was that? Prince had a song about it. 1999, tonight we gonna party like it's 1999. But I don't remember anything bad happening. I think people just freaked out for no reason. Like... They thought like clocks were gonna like not work on the computer and shit.
Yeah,
like, I don't know, dude.
It's kind of valid.
I just remember it not being that big of a deal.
Right.
It was like, and then
it was the hype that was the thing.
Yeah, and then it was like 2000s, and then I remember that, and then all of a sudden it's like became like 2020, and then it's like, damn, 20 years since 2000. And granted, I was like a little kid in 2000, but it's like. Still, it's like, damn, that's like 20 years ago? That's crazy.
I felt like it was just yesterday.
Right. I mean, now it feels like it was a long time ago. But for a while, like, yeah, I remember, like, even in 2020, it was like, damn, I can't believe it's 2020. But now it seems like it should be 2020. After the whole pandemic and shit, like, I feel like...
I guess so.
Or do you still feel like, what, it's 2010? Like,
well, I still feel like
yesterday?
it's... I still feel like it's... I mean, I feel like it is 20... I guess 18 for me, but like the pandemic was just like a like if I could condense the pandemic into 2018, like let's just say it was like a month. That's kind of how I feel right now. Like it's really weird, and part of me like I still don't even feel like I'm about to turn 25. Like it's
right.
Weird.
I feel like
I think I need to live.
I feel like
life.
2017, 2018. It seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah. And I think it's because I felt like things halted because of the pandemic.
They did.
So.
And that really did something. It really changed stuff somehow.
Right. Like
there's like a before time and an after time.
Right. I feel like I wonder if in the history books, like you know, they have like this BCE and stuff like that. If there's gonna be like
before. It was like before when I kind of trusted the government, to after when I don't trust the government at all.
Right. Like before the pandemic hit. I mean, probably not. I mean, this isn't the first pandemic. This isn't our first rodeo. Like, there was the polio, you know.
There's probably been... Like that. I'm sure there'll be more, too. Like,
right.
But, yeah, it's just the first one that was, like, really bad, I guess.
Suppose.
Yeah.
But everyone has, like, their own little...
I'm sure every generation has some shit that was, like...
Yeah.
Because we had, like, 9/11, and then this were, like, the biggest things, right?
I think so.
I can't think of anything bigger. Like, we had, like, swine flu and shit, but that wasn't, like...
That wasn't nearly as... That wasn't this.
No.
We had that small Ebola crisis, I think.
Yeah.
It was in, like, 8th grade, and it was, like, in Texas or something, but that was... I think, like, 4 people got it here.
Yeah, it was just didn't seem as big. This seems so much bigger. And then it was, like, so controversial with so many different, like, opinions about it and so many different ways people thought about it and so politicized in different places, areas, and, like there was like I don't know. There's that comedian Tim Dillon. You should watch that on Netflix.
Tim Dillon.
Do you know Tim Dillon? He's
I love watching comedies.
Big fat like gay comedian. So goddamn funny.
I'm gonna have to look him up.
But he was like talking about how like it's so funny how different areas, how they'll talk about the pandemic. You know, like he's like, I'll be in like New York or something, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, you got vaccinated? Yes, yes, you dirty little slut. Look at you. Yes, queen. Good for you. You're vaccinated." And then he's like, then I was, then I was in Texas, and I saw my doctor, and the doctor was just like, "You been vaccinated?" He's like, "There's a YouTube video I need you to watch." You really, he's like just like even his even his doctor's like a skeptic.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, dude. You should. That's a funny special.
And he said it was Tim Dillon.
Tim Dillon. I mean, he's just so funny right now, comedian. He is like, I don't know. He's just like the best fucking rants. Like, he has such a funny rant about like buying his merchandise. Yeah, if you follow him on Instagram and shit, dude, he's so funny. But his thing about buying, he's like, so you can't pay your kids' medical bills. I don't care. Buy my merchandise. He's like, you're broke. You can't make rent. I don't care. Buy my merchandise. He's just like got these funny ass rants where he'll just like go on fucking, I don't know. I mean, he's not being serious, but it's just like, it's funny shit, dude.
Oh, I love it. I mean, a comedian that doesn't take anything too seriously. I mean,
Do you have any favorite comedians?
Definitely Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr.
Dave Chappelle's like the god.
He is.
He's the GOAT.
I mean, he is. I mean, that's controversial
when
for people,
Well, it is, but even if you like listen to his like, he had some of those rants like after the George Floyd murder and stuff that were like, this guy, and it wasn't even really comedy. It was just
when
like
he was doing his thing in Ohio.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm just like, I watched that stuff and I was like, this guy is like important in our time as just like a leader and a prophet, or like he's like, how like every culture has like he's one of these people who is like just prolific and important for our culture, I think.
Right. And it was I mean, you look at the progression of him and like how he's like his comedy's matured like over the years too.
That's what I mean. He's like, I feel like he's like an elder statesman that like every time he talks, I should really be listening.
Yeah, it's very captivating. And I don't think it definitely wasn't always like, he was always, I think, a captivating person, but now he has a more compelling voice that makes you want to think about like life, I think.
That's what I mean. Like, so those rants he went on after the George Floyd thing were so much different than like comedy. It was just like, I'm listening to an important speaker that has something to say right now. But like, you're right, even his comedy has just
those nuggets in there.
He wouldn't do the same as like the Chappelle Show comedy now.
Right, no,
because he's grown. Like, if he did, he wouldn't be Dave Chappelle. Like, he's like, you're right, it's been a progression to watch.
Exactly.
Because as good as like the Chappelle Show was, which it was probably the greatest sketch comedy show of all time, right?
Yeah, and I love.
Do you think? I think it probably is.
I love his illusion. It definitely was.
I mean, Saturday Night Live in its day, those two. I mean, there's all
those
of them
two are very influential.
But his was probably the most hot for the short period of time it was on.
Yeah,
made the most impact.
I think so. It was. I mean, because a lot of it, and like just Dave Chappelle's and like nature, for an example, he's just like brutal honesty. Yeah, it's just personally like for the person that I am, I subscribe to brutal honesty, regardless of whether I like to hear it or not.
It's better for you.
Yeah, I'd like to hear how things actually are.
I know. I say that all the time, even with stuff like a lot of people like to try to turn bad things they do into good. Even like if you talk about like drinking, like as long as I know it's not good for me, and then it's okay to do it. But I don't want to pretend it's good for me and then do it and pretend. Like, I want to know like what are the health. I mean, this is good beer too. Shout out to Postdoc. But like, I want to, before I do something, I want to know what the, like, even bodybuilding, weightlifting. I know there's negatives tue. Like, there's definitely positives, but there's also negatives. You know, like your heart can grow. Like, like there's certain your lifespan might be a little shorter. Your joints. Like your quality of life, if you're a bodybuilder, is probably going to be better, or an athlete, because you're training, so your body's like capable of much more. But that might take a few years off at the end.
Right.
So there's definitely. But I'm with you. I would rather know the truth about something and then still make a decision whether or not I want to do it than pretend something's good for me and be in the dark.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And that's why, I mean, I follow like Dave Chappelle or Bill Burr or whatever, because they'll say like, they'll blatantly know that something's controversial and, just, again, say it as is. And I think that they just do it in such a way that's not only masterful, but it's like, hey, I'm just speaking, like, very frankly. I know that this is, like, that, but this is how I can say it, or even not even how I can say it. Like, they'll preface it like, this is just my opinion. I think there's a way in which they say it that it attempts to kind of recognize the other side's, like, say, point of view or, like, addressing it. But like, at the end of the day, like, we are our own people and we have our own thoughts and we're going to say what we're going to say. And
right. And
again,
I mean,
yeah.
I would even say that, like, as comedians, which I do think are important part of society, of us as human beings, that's like actually their job.
Yeah.
And there's value in, I mean, that's the whole point of a comedian, is to call out ridiculous stuff and say the truth, whether we want to hear it or not.
Right. I wonder if that's what I mean, I think the purpose of the Royal Fool. You know, like,
the Fool,
yeah, like, you know, they're hired to make fun of the king and, like, in front of the king and stuff like that. So I wonder if that was basically, like, you know, supposed to be like those.
Imagine being the Royal Fool and, like, you know that if you don't do a good enough job,
you're gonna die.
You're gonna die, because it's like, if you don't call out the king and, like, make him look ridiculous sometimes, he's gonna be like, oh, you're being a pussy, you're going too easy on me because you're scared of dying, and then he'll kill you because you're not taking any chances. Then if you take certain chances, he's gonna be happy because that's what they want.
Right.
But then if you go too far, he's gonna kill you too. It's like almost a no-win.
Exactly.
It's like, if you don't go hard enough, you know, he's going to be like, you're being a pussy, you're dead. If you go too hard, he's going to be like, okay, that was too far.
Like,
you made me look bad. You're fucking dead. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, well, that was whack. Keep my politics out of your mouth, sir.
I know,
Actually,
dude.
I'll make sure of that. You go to the guillotine.
Yeah, he just kills the motherfucker. So anyway, let's go back to Muay Thai a little bit. And so, like, what is, in this pursuit that you have of, like, trying to be capable human and everything, like, what does, like, a week look like for you? With, like, the training and stuff that you do?
So for me personally, just with what I can tie into, you know, my schedule, I try to make sure I'm doing Muay Thai 3 times a week. So definitely Tuesdays and Thursdays, you know, I'm training. And then Saturdays, I also try to make, you know, a training as well. So those 3 times a week, if there's a seminar or anything like kind of additional enrichment I do. I just recently got into, like, the gym. Like, I went and got a gym membership because I noticed that, like, while my technique's improving, like, my fitness needs to be a lot better.
Well, because you said, like, the age is starting to come.
Right. And
not like 25 is old, but this is where you have to start being your youthful. The stuff that comes easy with youth is disappearing. You're going to have to start putting work into it.
Exactly. And this is, like, the first time that I'm actually, like, running into that. Like, it's so weird for me. But, I mean, the good thing is because I had these good habits already instilled.
It's going to force you to get better, though.
Right. Yeah. And so, like, I was able to recognize it and be able to, I think, do, like, the right thing. So I went and bit the bullet and got, like, I thought all I could just go to Muay Thai and, like, just get all the exercise I need. And I don't have the self-motivation to just sit at home and do, like, calisthenics. Like,
no. You got to get out, go to the gym.
If I can get out of, like, the place where I live, in, like, my comfort space, the place where I sleep, and do whatever. Like,
I can't do it at home either. I mean, I could, but it's like, that's my resting, recovering place. I like to go out.
Exactly. Or, like, I don't have a separate room for me to be able to do that. And, like, I need to compartmentalize.
It was weird, though, because, like, during the pandemic, this room that we're in was my gym.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I turned this. That's how this podcast room happened. Before, even this floor, it used to be the gym floor.
Oh, yeah.
So this is like a horse stall mat, which makes a good floor, obviously.
It does, actually.
So there was a squat rack over there. I had 2 benches. I had dumbbells. I had a Olympic bar, 300 pounds of weight. It was a pretty decent little gym in here.
Heck yeah.
Like, full squat rack was right there. It was crazy, yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah, I couldn't really deadlift because, obviously, the floor, but you could do, like, rack pulls, you could do squats, you could do bench.
You could do what you could.
But
it got the job done.
But I'm with you. I would rather get out
right
and go somewhere else, because it's even the atmosphere too. Like, you train with T3MA, correct?
Right.
And it's probably like a camaraderie and atmosphere with the people you train with that actually lends to, like, the training and the value that you're getting out of training.
Right. And I mean, the thing is, like, I think really at any gym that, like, anyone should be going to and training in the sport is that, I mean, you go to a gym to, one, receive instruction on how to obviously get better in the sport, but also you're surrounding yourself hopefully and with, like, minded people or people in the same journey who can also help propel you, because I mean there's different ways. Like I have partners in the gym who I work with, and they propel me to be better just because of having that partnership, or even like inner gym rivalry, for an example, and stuff.
Like a friendly rivalry?
Yeah, like a friendly rivalry.
But it makes you both better.
Right. Yeah. And so definitely that all has its place. So like on a weekly basis on what Muay Thai looks like, I mean, obviously I have those 3 days where I go. Then I try to fit my gym in either on the days where I don't do that, because I was actually doing like one of my other hobbies on like Mondays and Wednesdays. I would use like Friday as like a free day, or sometimes I think there used to be like Friday classes I would go to.
Yep.
And Sunday's definitely like my day of rest, and then Saturday.
Dude, Sundays should always be a day of rest. I feel like Sunday's such a good day.
Sometimes I honestly I take Friday and Sundays as like my day of rest sometimes, because especially with like say fishing for an example, and I'll drive say 3 hours to like a spot or something.
Yeah.
And that's like my entire Saturday. Like I almost got to have like 2 days of rest, because like
it's a big day. Yeah. So are those all your hobbies? Muay Thai, fishing? You've done like some like water stuff too, right?
Yeah. So I do flowboarding as well. I haven't been able to do it in like the past month because booking's been kind of hard. But that's what I would do like on Mondays and Wednesdays. So flowboarding, do you know what that is? Or
not really. I'm thinking of like longboarding, where you like stand on the wake. Was that wakeboarding?
It could be. Yeah, but it's kind of like wake surfing, or just like surfing in general, on like in a controlled environment. So they have these machines that are basically like giant turbines underneath, this tarp that shoots up water.
Oh, is that what I've seen on your Instagram? Like where you're in that thing that's like
shooting up water on that little ramp, and
yeah,
I do like you can do it standing up, or you can do it on your knees or on your belly, like with a boogie board almost. And then I also they have one in Chelan.
Yeah.
Or like they have like something kind of like that, but that one's an actual wave. So like I love water sports as well.
Yeah. That probably translates to real surfing though.
That's the one thing I haven't done, and I think the one difference would be like being able to know which wave to like catch, knowing how to catch.
I would have no idea. Yeah.
Like I think that's the one thing I think I'd miss, but other than that, as far as the mechanics of how to move on a board, I think I'm pretty sound in.
It's probably a great workout.
Oh, it's a fantastic workout.
Yeah.
And I did that since I was 12 years old, the flowboarding, and I used to do bodyboard. And nowadays, I just do the stand-up part. But in bodyboarding, I'm doing essentially like acrobatics in like the air and stuff like that. And if I try to do it, not if I try to do it, I can do it, but I definitely feel myself get winded when I do this.
So that's like a cardio thing?
It's cardio. It's even like strength training as well, because like if I'm launching myself off of things, or like I'm having to like hold like this massive board with like one hand. And, like this one trick, I just had to like be able to condition my arm to be able to hold the board, so I don't just sling it. Like
so you're gonna need strength. You're gonna need power, speed, everything.
Yeah, and just like
because if you're launching, you're jumping, you're gonna need like the type 2 muscle fibers. Like,
I mean, granted, it's all just it's like calisthenic work, just about, and you gain those attributes by doing the sport.
By doing them. It's probably the best way to train for it, right?
Right. But, that's another hobby of mine that, like, I really want to get back to and stay in tune with. I absolutely love that.
Hell yeah, dude. That's exciting.
Yeah, fishing. Love doing that.
What's your favorite fish to catch or eat? Or do you eat them? Do you cook them?
I definitely cook and eat them. Salmon, that has been the big guy.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, it's not the reason why I moved out here, but it definitely was.
You love the outdoor scene out here, right?
I do, absolutely.
I was going to say, I can just tell from your Instagram that you just have a love for it.
I was a big outdoor boy back in South Carolina, too. I mean, the fish that we get, at least in the streams, were just, like, trout and stuff. And, like, that was fun. I got that down to a science. Like, I was at the point where you could catch 6 fish, like, and that'd be your daily limit, right? When my senior year, I lived my college campus was, like, 45 minutes away from, like, the river. Go down, catch my 6 fish, and that's, like, how I would eat for the week sometimes. Not because I had to, but just because that's what I wanted to do.
It's probably the healthiest shit you can get, man. Stuff that you caught yourself, you know?
Yeah, and like I harvested, I know where it's coming from. Like I know how some of them are hatchery raised and stuff like that. Not that that's like a huge issue, but like just knowing where my food comes from and what I'm putting in my body, it kind of goes back to that being self-sufficient thing.
Is there negative? Is there something negative about hatchery raised fish compared to?
So with hatchery,
I don't know
raised
much about
fish-
it, honestly.
So, or I say hatchery raised. There's a difference, I think, between hatchery raised and farmed fish.
Yeah.
So hatchery raised, like obviously, so they have these huge pools where they take the eggs, they inseminate them, they launch them, and they kind of raise the fish out, and then they release them at like a certain point.
We had that back home. We had one in Decorah, this town next to my hometown. This big fish hatchery where they did that, and
right. And I think depending on the hatchery, I think hatchery wise it's okay or it's good. They do feed the fish things that are probably like say not completely natural.
So basically
like
similar to like when we eat farm
cattle,
like grain-fed cattle versus having like a wild elk. The elk's probably going to be healthier for you.
Exactly. But at the same time, it's not like commercially farmed as well, where I think those practices are probably like super terrible because like they have all these fish in like a huge pool, like shitting everywhere.
Yeah.
And like, they're kind of eating it too, and like they're rubbing up against each other, and they don't get to move as much as they do like in the wild. So like they're
much less natural.
Much less natural.
Kind of like when you get like chickens that are like free to roam, they're probably better. I don't know, shit.
Something like that. I don't know, but regardless of all of that, yeah, being able to like, at least that was the food that I grew up eating. It's always been healthy for me, regardless.
Yeah.
Like being able to like do that. I mean, it was healthy. It definitely saved me like some money, like going out and buying protein.
Right. So, what do you think? Like, what are your goals in the next 10 years with like Muay Thai, or like, do you have goals with that too? Like, do you want to be more self-sustainable kind of living eventually, or like?
I would love to, like, so for Muay Thai, for an example, at least goals with that, I don't have, like, a set goal, but I definitely just want to be at a point, I just have a naturally competitive nature.
Right.
Like, I just love being competitive and being the best at what I can be.
And getting better, getting as good as you can.
Right. And
you're not going to be comfortable just feeling like you're, like, one of the okay guys.
I think that if it gets to a point where, like, say, I don't know, I start a family and like I'm start getting hit in the head too much or something like that, I think that's where I probably would have to consider like drawing the line.
Yeah.
But I think that right now
you're not there yet, though.
Definitely not there yet, and I don't have a cap on where that will go. I think I just kind of enjoy being a practitioner of the sport, and I think even after, say that I'm not in a competitive in the competitive side of things, I think I would still just like to practice the art because there's a lot to be
even after you're done where you don't want to get hit in the head. I think you can still keep training for like pretty much till you die, man. Like,
exactly. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, it teaches you a lot, and so that's at least goal wise in that aspect. I don't think I have a cap, but I would like to fight a couple more times, maybe even look at building an amateur record. For sure, I would love to be able to do that if I can work that in.
I think that should be your next step.
It would be awesome if I could. Yeah.
Yeah, because you've had just the one fight, so it's like.
And I feel like I've learned a lot even since the one fight.
What do the fights look like when you do get actually more competitive? Because these are kind of like sparring. Question. These are just like fun fights, right? Are they like?
They are, but
is there a different? Well, I know it's still hard, dude. I was at one, and watching you guys kick each other.
We're going at it for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the kicks were no joke, dude. Those kicks are hard.
Right. I would imagine, like, I didn't really feel anything until, like, I guess, obviously 2 days
But
after.
there's more of there's a different, like, level of fights, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like, so for the smokers and stuff that I, like, at this level, I feel like that what separates those different levels is that, one, ring IQ, obviously, but I want to say a level of calm, for example. I feel like, you'll see it even in my fight or any of the other fights, like, we're kind of just slugging at this, level. You're just kind of trying to hit the other person, try to connect, and some people are better than others at just like actually like thinking a bit more methodically and actually picking their shots and things. But as long as I've been just training in like these 2 years, I focus or take great pride in being able to do whatever I can do like in a controlled fashion and like being able to control that. And I think that's what separates these different levels.
I think that's what's going to make you better is when you get to that level of being more calm and not just reacting, but like, because I think that's what makes like great fighters, right, is like their ability to think and make calculations while they're having somebody like trying to punch them in the face.
Exactly.
But staying calm in that situation where and not always reacting. But that's what you notice with great fighters is that level of calm. Which is
great
like,
athletes just in general too. I mean, I did the same thing. So I used to run cross country. I wish I did that for forever, but I was like really good at it, and I almost wish I did that like all through high school. But there was like this look on my face. So like I walked on straight to varsity, and people said like when I run, I just have this like intent look on my face, which was me almost doing these calculations. Like I knew I was being cognizant of like my breathing, being cognizant of like how much I can push my body before I gas out. Like I need to make sure I make it to the finish line.
Right, you're making all these calculations.
Right,
yeah.
And it's all subconscious, but like very dialed in. So I think that dialed in look is what I mean by all of that. Being able to do that in the ring versus like a lot of people think like when you're fighting it's just like a huge one, you have that adrenaline dump, but you're just fighting off of just rage and you're just like doing it.
But that's when you lose.
You're right.
It's
like it can work against you.
And
like being able to, I mean, you can use that, but you have to do those calculations for sure. Like you have to think about it. And that's, again, what I saw in Sinchai. That's what I see in all the people who are better than me is like they're not just going out and hitting just to hit. Like they are methodically thinking about like.
There's a reason for every like defensive move, every offensive move,
right? Like
all your footwork, right? They're doing all this.
All of these things to like gather information about the opponent and size them up and then like make informed decisions. And that's why as I've become more ingrained in the sport, I've started watching a lot more. Like I love watching One Championship.
Yeah.
And it's just like I can pick out now and see like these things that they're thinking, and I absolutely love that because it really just kind of shows like this sport is more than just like two people just like trying to hit each other.
I think people have such a dumb idea of fighting. Like they think it's just like barbarians, like these idiots. Like they have no idea the level of intelligence.
And it's like split second thinking and like problem solving and just like it's mental chess that you're playing with someone non-verbal. I mean, non-verbally and sometimes verbally, and so.
Well, the psychological aspect too of getting in your opponent's head and everything, and even like the trash talk leading up to fights and stuff. Like when I was watching, when I did used to watch UFC, like that's an art form in itself too, and it can affect the fight.
It is, and I didn't even think about that because I never really thought too highly of like the trash talking that comes
like
up.
The Colby Covingtons and like
and stuff like that. I was just like, why do people do that?
The Conor McGregors, they almost use that pro wrestler mentality of playing the heel character.
Right. And so
it makes money for Dana White though.
It does.
Yeah.
But and I'm sure there's a art to it, and so it's.
I think there's definitely an art to it because there's masters at it like Ric Flair, like Dusty Rhodes, and then you hear these guys like Conor McGregor. Like where did he get a lot of his like stuff from? Like watching Ric Flair. Where did those fancy suits that Ric Flair used to? So like and even rappers would call it like Ric Flair from the '70s. Like that's where. Yep. He was the one that started with the bling and wearing the Rolex watches and wearing the snakeskin boots.
Got their
I got these alligators on my feet and I can't keep them down. Woo! All that shit. Just like, yeah, man, it's so funny. That stuff actually is part of the fight game too.
Yeah,
There's some guys that were so great at it, and I can't. There's one dude I can't think of his name right now that comes to mind who was like a master at trash talk. I don't remember though. I know like Colby Covington basically plays a heel like Trump supporter character.
Yeah.
And then you got like Conor McGregor's great at it.
You have Khabib. I mean, like
Khabib was a whole different thing.
He's just like how would you say it? Like He just has to be himself in that like cells. Like just being like that super self-confident person is like, yeah, I'm just going to like fucking whoop your ass.
Yeah, he didn't
like,
need any of that shit.
He doesn't need to add the extra flair or anything.
That's why he's kind of like the good guy character.
Yeah, it like balances out like those other.
It balances out the heel characters, really. Yeah.
And even like Israel,
I think he's good at
it. He's good at it, and is also like a cool cat about it. Like he'll still talk shit to you, but because he knows he can like back it up too. Hence the reason like I follow him up too. Like he can say what he's gonna do in the ring, and pretty much you'll get damn near close to like what you can.
That dude is so fucking cool, man.
And so yeah, like everything about like just doing any kind of like athletics. I mean the mental.
Remember Anderson Silva? How good he used to be. Like he would do that shit in the ring where he would like basically just be playing and toying with people, and it finally caught up with him when he got older. But for a while he could just like bitch his opponents.
That's
like make him just look like trash. Like he'd be dancing around like, come on, hit me.
I think
he'd let him hit him. He'd be like, hit me again.
To answer your question, I think that's where I want to be. I want to be able to like be dancer. Like
you're like just playing with someone like a cat playing with a mouse type of thing.
Because what that means is like you have absolute control of that situation.
You're completely 100% in control.
Exactly.
Yep. That's why you're able to do that. Otherwise, you would not be doing that.
Right. Exactly. Like I want to be able to set the pace for this. I want to be able to, call the shots here and like how this is gonna work. I mean, obviously, like that's how you're gonna win. Like.
And that's like going to come from, like you said, being around better and better people who are better than you, and then you go up to their level and you learn from them and like, yeah.
But it also makes for like a good, because when I was sparring like Senchai, I mean, obviously, there's no way I was like, he was playing at my level for sure. Like he toned it down, but I definitely think he gave me the respect again that like I deserved when sparring.
Like he saw the potential in you.
Like saw the potential, but also just saw where I was.
Like I can't be too easy on this guy, or he'll fucking hit me.
Not even that, because like the thing is I was following the people on these tours. They'll kind of try to go hard on these people because they're like professional athletes, and that's definitely not what I wanted to do. In fact, like the entire time I was like, let's just not hit him too hard, because one, I don't think I could hurt him, but two, I don't want to ask for more than what I'm getting. Like
so. It's almost like when you're as good as him, you have like a target.
Yeah.
In a way, because people like they put you up in this level where they perceive you as so good, so they're like, shit, I got to go even harder on this. So they almost try to hurt you more. Like
right. Okay. And I was trying to avoid doing that because when I was following these people.
And you didn't want to do that.
Yeah, because Super like one of the people who was there, one of the other fighters, he accidentally like kneed someone in the head and he had to get stitches, like one of the people at the seminar.
Yeah.
But that's, when your emotions or like you just kind of get a little bit out of control. So I wanted it to be controlled. I wanted to show him there's a way of doing it without being so hard, which is where I mentioned like the control and being able to do everything in control. And that's what I enjoyed the most about sparring with Senchai, is that you could tell he was a master of his craft, because I think he was able to, in that moment, quickly assess where I was. Mm-hmm. He hit me just hard enough to know, like, we're just sparring. We're, like, kind of play sparring, but, like, he's giving me the respect of a hit. Like, we're not fighting.
He knew you could handle a real hit.
Right, and he was giving me the looks that, like, I need to, like, kind of get what I needed out of that sparring session, while also respecting and giving me a chance to be able to work with him on what I could do back with him. And it was all within, like, that first 10 seconds of us, like, exchanging. Like, you just pick up on those things, and that's what I appreciated the most about that.
I think you can tell immediately when you're... Even in pro wrestling, like if I get in the ring with somebody that I've never worked against before, mm-hmm. you can pretty quickly assess like what level of training they have, and like if they kind of get it the same way you get it, and you're like, okay, this guy's here with me. Because other times you're with somebody that maybe doesn't have quite the same level as you. Mm-hmm. Other times you're in the ring with someone that clearly has a much higher level than you, and you give them tons of respect because you know that to them you're still have a lot to learn.
Right.
But when it's somebody that has less ability than you definitely have to kind of babysit them almost.
Right. You have to tailor it for sure.
Curtail it almost to their level so that or like know that you're basically going to be the one in charge. Kinda. Or if for wrestling, it's like definitely like there's usually somebody that's kind of leading the match. So like you could be the person that did it. Other times you'd be like, you're in there with somebody you're very comfortable with, and you're like, you know what, you call this one. It's on you. You know what I mean? Because you know that they're capable. Other times you know that it's somebody that doesn't have the ability to do it, so you know that you have to do it.
Right.
And then other times, like I said, you're going to be in there with somebody that's much more experienced than you, so you know that I'm going to listen to them. Mm. They're going to be in control of this match, and so I imagine like fighting is probably very similar. There's different ranks of like levels of experience.
There definitely is, and even like in the gym when we have our sparring sessions, like there's people who I know that I have more experience with, and there's people that I know that I have less or about the same, and then like less. Mm-hmm. The people who I have like more experience than, for an example, I feel like it's my duty as someone who, depending on where they want to go with the sport, not use that as an opportunity to just like beat them up, you know.
No, but
like,
almost to teach them and help them and bring them up.
Right, and I have to be mindful of understanding like where I can assess quickly like where are they in their learning. Like I'm not gonna just throw out scissor kicks and stuff like that on them. Like,
they might not even know how to defend that.
Right. Or if I do it, I'm gonna do it once because I've already assessed like okay, I see that they can do well in these areas. Let's throw something in here and get them to start thinking about that. And then if it's someone who's more experienced than me, I would expect them to, you know, kind of control it for me and not beat me up. And then someone
maybe even teach you stuff. Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's the
point.
That's what I was, you know, doing most of the time when I first started, and I always tried to work with the people who were more experienced. And now, you know, when I work with people who are at my level, the goal that I try to focus in on is just like, you know, technique and like working on. We do our homework outside. We try to learn new techniques, bring it to the gym, do it in a controlled manner. Yeah. We're not just there to just take each other's heads off. I mean, I look at sparring as a time to, especially in the gym, I look at that as a time to work on new things. And you're not really supposed to get, like, you know, hurt. Like, it can happen, but you don't have to prove anything.
You don't want
anyone.
to. Yeah.
You don't need to take anyone's head off. Like, I know you're strong, you know I'm strong, but like we're just here to try to get each other better.
Well, and if you get hurt, like what, you know, you can't maybe go to your job, or you can't pay your bills, or like There's so many things where it's like, and if it's like a hobby on the side, if it's like your livelihood, if it's how you're making all your money. I mean, even a lot of fighters I know now, they've cut out sparring sometimes a little bit because it's almost like it's detrimental to their fight in certain ways because they're beating the shit out of themselves leading up to the fight too much.
Yeah.
So I've heard of some fighters going like no spar and everything. Like,
really?
Oh yeah, that's like a thing.
I always feel like you gotta have a little. I mean,
well, like, I think a lot of them do, but I've heard of that being a method now.
Some people,
I don't know if it's a good method, but I've heard of it.
Maybe mentally speaking, yeah. It's,
probably guys that have already had numerous hours of sparring previously, though.
Yeah.
And so they're making that calculation. I imagine that, like, they've probably had numerous fights and numerous sparring throughout their life and career.
Right.
So now they're making the calculation, like, you know, I already know how to do all that. Mm-hmm. So instead of getting beat up in all these sparring sessions, I'm going to save it for the fight and work on these other fundamental. So I'm sure it's a calculated thing. It wouldn't be like...
It's definitely a calculated thing. And it's also maybe even a personal thing, too. Because, like, I can definitely tell, like, some days, like, when I go on vacation and then I come back, like, having that time outside of sometimes I feel 1,000 times fresher.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I feel fresher sometimes, like, just taking a break from sparring.
Sometimes taking a break just makes you better when you come back. Right.
Because if I'm doing it too often, it's very easy. I mean, if you do it too often, it's very easy to have it kind of almost become a habit. Not that it's a bad or like a routine, but you could create a pattern or a routine, and I think taking that time away sometimes
solidifies the pattern a little bit.
Not solidifies the pattern, but allows me to think outside of that pattern. Like, it gives me enough time to think about what can I do differently the next time I spar. But if I do it, like, say, every single day, let's just say hypothetically, you know, granted, I can do that every single night. There are probably going to be some nights I just want to go home and be like, I'm just going to rest and worry about it.
Well, it's weird because you need to cement the patterns by doing them, right?
That's true.
But then it's like, I know exactly what you mean. There are times where, like, you're doing it so much, and then you, like, take a break from it, and somehow when you come back, you've gotten better at it. It's almost like... Sometimes, like, you feel like you don't need rest, but almost that's what your body needs to get better. But then other times, like, say you're away for too long and you come back and you're, like, rusty on stuff. So there's that too. I think there's a
science,
fine line and a science with like frequency.
Yeah, I almost want to say it might even be like if I were say doing that method that the fighters do,
the no spar,
it would probably just be because of like an excitement factor, like how excited am I to get into the ring. So if I get into the ring, like if I'm sparring, say a week before I fight, so. It's it's like this weird subconscious thing that I don't know why, but like maybe just being in a ring setting, like I get more excited the longer I am away from it to like want to return to that, and then that excitement translates into like my performance,
a better performance.
Right.
I think it's kind of like that thing of like studying for a test and then like studying, and then like the last like day before, maybe you just take that day off,
right,
and actually just get some rest, recovery, food, and then do the because it's like, but you want to cram right to the end, and sometimes that's detrimental. Or I think of like in the case of like singing, like when I used to be in a band, sometimes you practice and then what you actually need is a day off before the performance.
Yeah.
But it's like, should I practice the day before the performance to help strengthen those muscles or patterns? But actually, like, you know what, you've been hitting it so hard, maybe the day before the performance, don't sing at all. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes there's those things where that seems to help. Yeah,
I think that's kind of the science behind it for sure, at least. And also imagine too. So like, I imagine when you were in the band, you play at like different settings and stuff like that. But how often were you playing at say like the same venue?
Oh God, it was normally different venue all the time.
All right, that's like so. Imagine
fighting's the same venue, right?
Right. So imagine like kind of being at the same venue for like let's say 5 shows. Like
you'd almost want to get away from it to keep the excitement for it.
Right.
I see what you mean.
And so it's like maybe that kind of ties into it. It's like you change your setting that's becoming a regular so that you can remain excited to like enter that.
Yeah, because ours was definitely like every day was something every show was different, so it was always exciting when the show came. We would do repeat shows, but it would be like not consecutively. It'd be like, oh, we've been here like a few months ago, and then we're there again.
And that's like fine, but definitely you don't want to like wear it out.
100%, dude. Well, you know what, man? We've been going for 2 hours.
It's been 2 hours.
Is there anything else you want to say before we sign off for the night?
Not really. Yeah, thank you much for having me. It's been a hot minute. It's been great chopping it up with you.
Yeah, man.
I love everything about the show. I love what you're doing, and I look forward to seeing, the progression of the
see what happens with the Nick and Ben podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, I appreciate you being here, and let me know when your fight is. I'll go watch again, dude.
Absolutely.
All right, man. It was great talking to you. All right. Thank you,
man.
everybody, for listening. I appreciate it, and have a great night.